One, two. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very, very much for all being here on time. We're still waiting on a few of the participants that have some official roles, and so we are giving them a few more minutes so you could still continue a little bit of your networking. We're not going to get started just immediately, but in a few minutes. But thank you all for being on time, and we'll get going shortly. Mr. President. Good morning again, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem of Jamaica.
Our national anthem represents the beauty, pride, strength, and resilience of Jamaica and our people. My name is Ziggy Marley. Please stand while we honor Jamaica, our culture, and our history.
Digital. We're at a digital event, right? Okay, let me leave that one alone. On behalf of the private sector organization of Jamaica and the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Empower JA Forum 2026. My name is Christopher Record, and I'm the chairman of the PSOJ's Innovation and Digital Transformation Standing Committee, and I'm honored to serve as your moderator for today's forum. The theme that we have decided on today, Wired for Growth, Boosting SME Efficiency and Growth Through Digital Transformation, speaks directly to one of the most urgent priorities facing Jamaica's businesses today, and also speaks to the experience at the end a while ago. But we came through, right? So no problem at all. Across Jamaica and the wider Caribbean, micro and small and medium-sized enterprises remain the backbone of our economy. Yet many SMEs face barriers when it comes to adopting digital tools, scaling operations, and remaining competitive in this rapidly evolving global economy. Today's forum brings together business leaders, innovators, policymakers, and technology experts to explore how digital transformation can unlock productivity, competitiveness, and sustain growth for SMEs. Over the next few hours, we will hear insightful perspectives, practical strategies, and real-world examples that demonstrate how technology and artificial intelligence can transform not only your business, but our wider Jamaican economy. So, without any further delay, I'm going to invite our first speaker, well, not speaker, but I'm going to invite our president to give us some opening remarks. Thank you very much. And the new president of the PSOJ, gentlemen, Mr. Patrick Hilton.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start first by acknowledging Mr. Record and thanking him for having offered me the opportunity to speak with you today. This is a topic that is dear to my heart, and many of you who would have heard some of my early interviews, you would have heard me speak about, one of the areas of focus being how we can help Jamaica and Jamaicans to scale beyond our geography, right, beyond our domicile, and to to achieve great things, right? Because one of the, in my own view, and I think it is a good perspective, right? I feel that one of the most important enablers of great performance is the size of our ambition, right? Because I am not aware of many persons who have achieved great things without having great dreams and great hopes and great aspirations. And so in a real sense, I think it is important that we start there, right? We start with the hope, we start with the dream, we start with the aspiration, and we believe in ourselves, right? Because, you know, this concept of faith is a very interesting one, right? And a lot of us are very familiar and comfortable with it in a biblical context, right? Because the Bible talks a lot about faith and the power of faith. But the power of faith extends beyond that, right? And in a real sense, faith really is the visualization of and our belief in the attainment of our desire, right? So it really starts with a mindset. And, you know, someone once said that, I think it was Buddha, who said that whatever the mind can believe and can truly conceive, it can achieve, right? So in a sense, we represent the limitations that we experience. We're an embodiment of the limitations because we never dared to dream that we could do it. And we never sought to pursue it, right? A little bit earlier, I was having a conversation with two of my former colleagues, right, from NCB, in the form of Dennis Cohen and Nadine Matthews. And we're talking about, you know, how society has evolved, how things have developed, and so on. And as I listened to them, I reflected on a quotation from T.S. Eliot, when he said, and I quote, "We shall never cease from exploration, and at the end of all exploring, arrive at the place where we started and see it for the first time." It's called seeing with new eyes, right? With a new filter, new beliefs. And this is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, or what is happening in the context of what we're seeing in terms of digital transformation, in terms of how society is developing, in terms of what we're seeing globally, right? You know, where there really is no limit. There are no limits to what we can achieve, except those limits that we acknowledge, right? And, you know, I just want to say to people, you know, I want you to start to up the size of your aspiration, up the size of your dream, right? Dare to think that the business that you're operating today can scale beyond where it is. We don't have to just serve Jamaica. We don't have to just serve the Caribbean. We don't have to just serve North America, Latin America, North America. We can serve the world. That's what technology enables. That's what it facilitates, right? And, you know, I have a prepared text, to be honest. But I only have 5 minutes. So I suspect I'm going to abandon it today, right? But, you know, if you look at history, and you look at, you know, as I'm standing here and talking, I remember the story of Martin Luther King's great speech, right? I have a dream. Because Martin Luther went to Washington, I think it was the day, with a prepared text. He went with a different speech, but in his conversations with his colleagues, he was talking about the dream, always talking about the dream. And as he gave his speech, and he paused, right? I don't remember the name of the lady. She was one of the religious pastors. Said, "Martin, remember the dream. Remember the dream." And he moved from talking about, from his prepared text, to talk about the I have a dream, which ignited a whole revolution, you know, we all know the story, right? So I don't have to go into it. And then I was also thinking to myself, and I recall some years ago, I went to a conference. It was a conference on innovation, right? And Dennis was there with me, actually, now that I reflect on it. And we were to have breakfast that morning with Commander Hayes, I think his name is Fred Hayes, who was one of the astronauts on Apollo 13, right? And Commander Hayes at that time would have probably been in his 80s because he's 93 today. Still active, I understand, and so on. And I was saying to myself, this is interesting because here we are going to a conference on innovation to be led by a 80-odd-year-old person. But what's going on here? Something doesn't seem so consistent. But then, you know, Commander Hayes told a story. He told the story of Apollo 13, which took off, went on its mission, had some sort of accident, and I think the two modules separated, right? Fortunately, the one with the astronauts in it didn't explode, as happened with the other one. And now the challenge was how to get them back to Earth safely, right? Given the limitations of technology at that time, right? I can't remember, maybe in the 1960s, I don't remember the exact date. Well, like I said, you know, this just came to mind. And the moral of the story, when he completed it, was simply this, ladies and gentlemen. He said that they work together, they use the technology, and they're able to safely return to Earth, right, with the astronauts alive. And then I left my phone there. He held up his cell phone and he said to us in that room that the cell phone he's holding in his hands has more than 100 times the computing power of the computer that launched Apollo 13 into space and safely returned it to Earth. We don't even understand what we have. Right? We have not begun to comprehend it, right? When I look at, you know, when you look at AI, and you look at Claude, and you look at ChatGPT, and Gemini, and so on, and you see, whoever thought a machine could think a few years ago? If you had dared to say that a few years ago, I suspect people would have taken you somewhere downtown, right? And we were just talking about consciousness, right? And the ability for machines to do these things. So the bottom line, I don't want to go much beyond my 5 minutes there, with all due respect. But the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is that, you know, the message I want to leave you with is one which is saying to you, dream big. Dream big, right? I know there are challenges. I know there are difficulties, access to financing, right? Sometimes just access to the technology itself, understanding it, right? Access to markets. But all of those challenges on the flip side represent our opportunities, right? And we, as a people, have on many occasions, in many spheres and in many disciplines, we have demonstrated global leadership, global performance standards, capabilities well beyond what people would normally expect of us. And so my message to you today, right, that if I want to leave you with one thing, is don't limit yourselves. Simply, don't limit yourselves. Go for what you can. And I say this, the last thing, I promise you this time. The last thing is that if we can, through this forum, spawn one or two global giants, it would be an amazing thing. And quite frankly, I don't think it is beyond us, right? We have to start to believe. I want to also express my gratitude, my appreciation to Christopher and the members of his team for the work they've been doing, right? Changing Jamaica bit by bit, right? A lot of times we don't realize how important and how impactful these things can be. I want to thank the IDB for the support that it has provided in this very important initiative, right? And I want to, because I'm also ambitious, I want to encourage the IDB and others to see if we can scale this even further and accomplish more, right? Because I think we have the opportunity and we need to take advantage of it. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very, very, very much to the Honorable Patrick Hilton, OJCD, the President of the PSOJ. Throughout the event, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be having a few surveys. And the first question is, what was your main motivation for attending today's session? So these live polls, QR code is going to pop up on the screen. Guys, we're full digital. We're not going to send around no piece of paper. Please scan and answer, and I will give you the answer before the keynote speaker, Mr. Cooper, starts. So before we get there, you'll hear the answer. So please, everyone, scan the QR code that's on the screen and answer the question honestly, and then we're going to have our... Can everybody get to it? I know some people may want to get up and go to it. David, I know you're scanning nothing, you know. Give me a phone and we can scan it for you. All right, not loading up, my friend. No problem at all. So yes, there's going to be about maybe 4 of them. This is the first one. And we will have all of the data to share, and as soon as we get the information. Okay. Team, we're asking you to, is your team? No, we're asking you to put back the QR code on, because not everyone got it a while ago. Please put it back up. For question 1, which is, what was your main motivation for attending today's session? Can they bring it back up again, or? Huh? Folks, the page is restricted. You have to sign up. Oh, come on, man. No. All right, apologize for my language I'm about to use. There is a book that I just downloaded. I don't finish it yet. It starts with the word E. I'm careful. Is this online or is it not online? All right, nobody's not going to repeat the word I say. I'm going to ask everybody to go look up the word. It's called enshittification. Go look up that word. There's a book. And its essence of the book talks about when good technology goes bad. Let me not say anymore. I don't want to get myself in trouble. The head of the IDB is sitting in front of us, and she may bang me over the head. So our next speaker represents an institution that has played a vital role in supporting economic development and innovation across the region. Please welcome Mr. Tasha Marzolf, country representative for the Inter-American Bank of Jamaica. Thank you. Inter-American Development Bank. Sorry. Yeah. I was used to saying PSOJ, Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, so I'm adding Jamaica to everything. The stage is yours, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Yes, Inter-American Development Bank, just to make sure we all speak about the same institution. Just give me 1 minute. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here today with you. My name is Natasha Marzolf, and I'm the country representative for the IDB, Inter-American Development Bank. So, Mr. Christopher Record, thank you so much for that very kind introduction. To Mr. Patrick Hilton, thank you for a very inspiring opening remark. Mr. David Lowe, pleasure working with you, Managing Director of DBJ. I understand Mr. Marlon Cooper, CEO of SIMTAI, is also here in the room. It's an honor and a privilege for me to be sitting here and speaking on behalf of the Inter-American Development Bank, or IDB, to support the growth and the innovation of small and medium-sized enterprises in Jamaica. To all our distinguished guests, members of the private sector, government representatives, and members of the press, a very warm welcome on behalf of the bank. This forum, titled Wired for Growth, speaks to an area of immense importance, not only for Jamaica, but as Mr. Hilton said, for the entire Caribbean. Today we will discuss a future where digital transformation is not a luxury for a few, but a powerful and accessible and affordable tool for every business to grow, to innovate, and particularly after Hurricane Melissa, to build resilience. At the IDB, our mandate is to improve lives across Latin America and the Caribbean. We partner very closely with each member country to find practical, tailored solutions, not only to their challenges, but to their unique opportunities. And today in Jamaica, one of the most exciting opportunities is the digital empowerment of your SMEs. These businesses are the heart of the economy in Jamaica. They are the ones that create jobs for the future and the strengths and the capabilities to compete not only in Jamaica, not only in the Caribbean, but to compete and have a place in the 21st century global marketplace. And this is why IDB is here today to support Jamaican SMEs in growing and innovating in their respective sectors and industries, relying on digital transformation and helping Jamaican businesses integrate into regional and global competitors, creating global value chains and jobs for the future. Let me tell you of a very strong example of our partnership with Jamaica, which is known as the Biggie Program, which is boosting innovation, growth, and entrepreneurship in Jamaica. This is a flagship initiative that has been implemented by the Development Bank of Jamaica with strong co-financing from the European Union. It has provided grants up to 300,000 Jamaican dollars for businesses to adopt tools such as websites, e-commerce platforms, human resources, payroll, and accounting systems. To date, over 951 vouchers have been delivered to hundreds of SMEs to accelerate their digital transformation. And more than 30 service providers are now part of a pool of firms able to deliver high-quality digital and business support services. Today's forum will provide a unique opportunity to scale up this partnership with Jamaica, which, believe it or not, has the most active and developed startup ecosystem in the English-speaking Caribbean. This is a powerful achievement, and it is a testament to all your hard work and your collective efforts. Did you know that Jamaica has 83% connectivity and 100% mobile connectivity? This means that the digital highways are already built. Jamaica also has a very talented and dynamic workforce, with women participating in the labor force at a high rate of 61%, and a global diaspora that brings home valuable international experience. Let me tell you, these are not just statistics. These are the essential ingredients for a thriving digital economy. But challenges still exist in Jamaica. I'm sure you're aware of them. The first one is the limited availability of specialized support, particularly growth strategists who can mentor and can guide small companies to scale up. The second one, and in my view the most difficult one to overcome, is the access for early stage financing. Too many entrepreneurs still rely on personal savings, which restricts the ability to invest in technology, expand operation, drive innovation, be competitive, and scale up. These challenges are not unique to Jamaica. Similar constraints are present across many regions and islands. And what is unique, however, in Jamaica is the tremendous opportunity each one of you holds today that can be unlocked if we address them collectively in a focused, coordinated, and collaborative action. And this is precisely why the IDB, through its innovation laboratory, IDB Lab, and with the financial support of the European Union under its Global Gateway Initiative, has developed what we call Caribe Equity, which is a regional facility that is designed to strengthen the investment ecosystem and enable growth-oriented SMEs to access capital, networks, and strategic support they need to succeed. Today, some of my colleagues will talk to you more about Caribe Equity and will share with you how this initiative is benefiting regional islands. In closing, I would like to say this. To our partners in the private sector, I encourage you to continue being champions for digital adoption. Your leadership in your own companies and across supply chains create the very important and required market for the innovations we are discussing today. To the entrepreneurs that are in the room and across Jamaica, please keep innovating. The pace of ChatGPT, Gemini, and any other tools that we know today are in the market are accelerating and already surpassing what we can do manually. So keep pushing your boundaries and keep dreaming big. You are the engine of Jamaica's future. You are the engine for Jamaica's success. And to our partners in the government, we are, at the IDB, reaffirming our unwavering commitment to support you. We will continue to work alongside to help create not only the policy environment, but also the financial incentives that foster innovation, encourage investment, and empower every Jamaican to participate in the digital economy. I wish you a very successful and productive session this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Natasha, for that. Thank you very much. All right, I think I've been told that our technology is now working. So signal from the back, they do over the first one? Yes, getting some nods? All right, you want to put back the QR code on the screen again so everybody can scan and get it? David, there's a quick one right here. Right? You can just lean over to the front just in case. You know. Right, so let's hope that everything works better. I think the question was, why are you here? All right, so let's make sure that everybody gets it. And I hope we don't have to go register and do too many things. We just get the question and answer the question and move on, because I'm supposed to be giving the answer now, right? But I can't. So let's just go to our next speaker. I see him disappearing over there. I hope he's okay. So folks, we're going to head into our first official presentation of the day, our keynote speaker. And this is a very, very important gentleman. He just flew in from the Eastern Caribbean from doing some similar speaking engagements across the region. So we have some big fish in the room today. Our keynote speaker is Mr. Marlon Cooper, the Chief Executive Officer of Simtai Consulting Limited, one of the Caribbean's leading IT consulting firms, specializing in cybersecurity, digital transformation, data privacy, and AML compliance. With over 26 years of experience spanning the IT security, data analytics, and risk management, he combines strategic insight with a results-driven approach to expand Simtai's regional presence and influence. Graduate of UWI, and a range of other 4-letter, 3-letter, 5-letter letters behind his name. Passionate about leadership and people development, he actively promotes personal and professional growth across his organization. Marlon is a frequent speaker on topics such as cybersecurity, digital transformation, and compliance, and addresses regional audiences through his work and thought leadership. Marlon continues to shape the region's digital transformation and resilience agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Marlon Cooper. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Christopher. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me make sure I observe all the protocols appropriately. Honorable Patrick Hilton, OJCD President of the PSOJ, Natasha, March of Inter-American Development Bank, Mr. David Lowe. Thank you. Apologies, Mr. David Lowe. Development Bank of Jamaica, distinguished guests, good morning. How's everybody doing? Big up yourselves. Let me check out my clicking ability. Okay, that's working perfectly. Thank you. As Chris said, I run a company called Simtech Consulting. That's one of my jobs. I have a new job. Since the last year, we sold Simtech Consulting to Digicel Group. So since April of last year, Simtech Consulting is a 100% owned Digicel business company. And the reason why we did that is because we wanted to strategically expand the business across the Caribbean. We've always seen ourselves as a regional company. Actually, we see ourselves as a global company operating in the Caribbean. And so strategically, that was important for us to do. Chris, in his former days as CEO of T-Tech, was my good competitor and even better friend. So, we have been able to sort of keep that relationship going as well. But I'm speaking to you today as a regional CEO, a graduate of the University of West Indies. I see one of my, so connection, I live my life through a value system. And I have several values. Connection is one value that's important to me, and I'd like to leverage that one while I talk to you today. Yes, so I was saying that I'm a graduate of the University of the West Indies. Prior to that, I had the distinct pleasure of attending Meadowbrook High School. So I look across the room and I see Andrew Pearman, who was my deputy head boy at Meadowbrook, and of course was one of our pioneers at Anbel, forming an IT company. So I started working at Simtech Consulting with the goal of creating consulting experiences for business customers. So it's a B2B organization, right? But we always wanted to have a value around how we serve customers. So if you get a chance and you talk to my love partner, she'll tell you that the next value of mine is around service and how peeved and annoyed I get when I get bad service. I want to welcome also, I've welcomed all the dignitaries, I want to welcome all the guests. I want to acknowledge you as men and women who are actually in the arena, who are crazy enough. I don't know what's wrong with you. You could have good paying jobs working for other people, but you have chosen to become entrepreneurs. You have chosen to pursue your paths in leadership and entrepreneurship. I salute you. I agree wholeheartedly with the comments from the IADB that persons like yourself and the organizations that you represent are the lifeblood of any country, any economy. We can have only so many large organizations that have 1,000 employees, 5,000 employees, but we need to have 50,000 small organizations that start from 1 employee to 5 to 10. So I remember my days at Simtech Consulting when I was employee number 2. So I was working in a 3-person company to where we are today, working in a much larger billion-dollar organization, which is Digicel. I want to talk to you about the shift in global financial order. You'll see me put on my eyes because I have advanced significantly in age. The face belies it, the beard kind of suggests it with the color that's happening there. but every now and again I need some support for this. So I want to talk to you about how the value of service can be leveraged to grow your business, and I want to talk to you about how what's happening geopolitically in the world is actually an opportunity and an accelerant for you to grow your businesses. And if you don't make certain shifts over the course of the next 2 years I would give you, and your business is not organized and set up to be on a strong digital rail, then I suggest that your business might be left behind. But don't worry, you have time, so let's move forward. What are some of the challenges facing Caribbean business? And as Chris mentioned, I've been in the Caribbean markets recently. In the last 6 months, I've been in Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Bermuda, not really Caribbean, but Barbados, Trinidad, and several other countries, and we're discovering the same challenges across the region. I'm very pleased, and I concur with the sentiments about the growth of our SME sector relevant to the rest of the Caribbean. We are currently ahead in many areas, but only currently. What's changing and evolving is the landscape, right? Technology is everywhere. Who inside of this room has a cell phone close by? I've heard them going off throughout the presentation. You can hold up your cell phone, just hold it up like this. It's an active and participatory presentation. If the cell phone is not smart, hold it down. I don't see any phones down. So you all have smartphones, yeah? And, you know, Patrick already talked about the power that's in these smartphones. So you can leverage Claude or Gemini or whatever your favorite AI tool is today. And if you are not, there are entrepreneurs in the room that can teach you and guide you and help you to leverage AI and technology. It's very, very important, and it can be a game changer around creating phenomenal customer experiences. So work with each other in your ecosystems, right? Leaders see AI as critical, but not sure what to do with it. Security breaches are on the rise. Simtai Consulting is synonymous with cybersecurity. We do more pen tests than any other company in the English Caribbean, I'm very proud to say. And so we are at the forefront of understanding the risks to your business around cybersecurity, ransomware. If you build up your good business and it gets interrupted, a cyber attack on average disrupts a business for 292 days. That's 1 year of you not being able to execute your strategy, right? IT talent. We graduate about 400 by my last check, technology graduates in Jamaica, dropping the bucket. Quite a few of you are here, but it's still a small relative to what's required for our country and relative to what is in larger jurisdictions, right? So there are always challenges. That's one of the biggest challenges that we have in our organization. I hire somebody from UTech, I train them in cybersecurity. After 3 years, they've gone to Google and Splunk and Amazon and Meta because they can get paid 6 times what I pay them. But that's fine. We built a system to make sure that as they go, we are continuously replenishing. Otherwise, we couldn't succeed, right? And then when they go into the diaspora, they become a part of that diaspora experience that then also supports our country, because we're a diaspora country, we're a diaspora region, very, very important. The most significant thing that's happening to businesses now is what's happening geopolitically. You're all talking about it, you're all following it. There are active wars going on in the world right now. And you can almost tune into them like they're Netflix or Amazon. Speaking of whom, their data centers experience direct attacks over the course of the last week. So data sovereignty has become important. It's become a weapon in geopolitics. And I want to talk to you about how data sovereignty becomes critical for maintaining your businesses. So I'm going to start with service, as I said. You all have digital phones. Your customers all have digital phones. Your customers are used to digital experiences, whether you're a B2B or a B2C. They're used to consuming and engaging with and expecting services digitally. If you have a SME and your SME is not structured to engage with your customers digitally, you're missing a trick. And you have a 2-year window that's rapidly closing to ensure that your business, whether it's a B2B or a B2C, can engage with customers digitally, omnichannel, WhatsApp, website, mobile. Very, very important. Leverage AI and tech where you can use bots. Those of you who are using Microsoft 365 Copilot is built into that. Train yourself. You can build agents out of Copilots. Why is that important? Because the repetitive tasks that are required for an SME to serve a customer properly can be automated. So you can improve your productivity by taking those simple steps. Do not think about AI especially as technology. Think about AI as capability. Okay? So I don't use Claude. I work with Claude. And if I could show you some of the things I'm doing with Claude. And I'm not promoting any single thing. Strategies, go-to-market campaigns, revenue projections, competitor analysis. That's one weekend. That's the productivity leap that you can accomplish by leveraging technology. Jamaica has a productivity problem. We're almost at 100% employment, but our GDP isn't growing. We can't employ anybody else. But if we can make them 20% more productive, 30% more productive, 40%, this is why I like technology despite all the risk. So I won't be scanning the QR code because of my cybersecurity hat, but I'm sure that Chris, because of his cybersecurity hat, is keeping you safe. Customers expect instant payments, digital, mobile first experiences. I want to sign up before I come. I want to see the reviews. I want to set an appointment. I don't want to come and wait. This morning I was dropping a car down the road. I was outside waiting for an hour. It would have been nice to have set an appointment. I would have paid for an early appointment. That's how you can make money in your business. It's very, very important. And data security and transparency becomes important. I understand the challenges that you face. You can't get money to run your business. It was alluded to earlier. Biggie giving you $2,000 to help you going. There's a new program coming. I hope it comes with money, but even if it doesn't come with money, I hope it also comes with capacity building and capability building, so you can understand how to leverage technology to be more productive, to get your businesses moving forward, right? I know that you are troubled with getting funding for your money, for your business. I know that you can go to the bank today and you can get $20 million to buy a new car, but you can't get $1 million to run your, I know that, right? We know this, right? I understand. I've run the business and I've had to bootstrap it and do all the things, right? So I understand the experiences where you are, but with technology and with what's happening geopolitically, things that took me 10 years to do, you're going to do in a year, right? So there's a massive gap with your customers' expectation and how you are serving them digitally. I want to emphasize one last time the importance of making sure that you are leveraging digital and building digital journeys for your customers. And then I'm going to switch the conversation to talk largely about digital payments. Why? Because a small business needs cash to work. You could have the greatest ideas, you could have the greatest execution. If you are not generating cash in your businesses can't work. I'm going to give you one piece of financial advice because my degree is actually in accounting and not technology as most people think. And my one piece of financial advice, which gentleman sitting in the front row here has run one of the largest financial institutions in the Caribbean, he can say yea or nay to. When you're reading your financial statement, your profit and loss, do not read it from the top down. Read it from the bottom up. Start with cash. Start at the bottom. How much cash is my business generating? I know some of you are early stage, you're not cash generating yet. But when you get to cash, how much cash is my business generating? Okay? How much profit am I making? What's the cost of running my business? What are the direct costs of my business? How much revenue am I earning? If you don't have cash in the business, it doesn't matter how brilliant your idea is. It is not going to work and you're going to frustrate yourself. So, a little free financial advice. Mr. Hilton, do you approve? Okay. I'm holding him ransom, but ask him when you speak to him directly. So let's talk about how geopolitics is shaping and is going to help you to overcome some of the hurdles that you're facing today as SMBs. Let me go back. The financial infrastructure has now become a geopolitical weapon, but it's also become an opportunity. Here's what happened in 2022 when I was going to say the first war, but we can't count them like that anymore. When the war in Ukraine was underway. You know that war has been going on for over 4 years? You know that the World War II was for 4 years? Just for context. In 2022, the world sanctioned Russia. $300 billion of Russian monies that were distributed across the world was immediately frozen. That means that legitimate companies in Russia, governments, could not access their money, no cash, to run their businesses, right? Now, while most people looked at that and went, okay, yeah, man, we need to do that because of what's happening with Ukraine, and we're not going to get political. Other more discerning persons went, well, if that can happen to Russia, could it happen to me as well? And then persons started to think about, if you can weaponize the payment infrastructure system, we need to start thinking about making sovereign payment infrastructure systems for ourselves so that as conflict occurs, our businesses are not impacted because we are going to continue doing business, right? So that was the first signal that took place. As a consequence of that signal, Europe in 2024 decided to build its own payment system, right? So they already own SWIFT, which is the traditional banking system, right? They decided that they needed to look at how payments flow across Europe, which is primarily through cards. Everything you pay for, there's no cash. You can fly to any European country. You don't matter carrying money. You don't need any cash. Everything is card. But those card systems were owned outside of Europe. So if they got weaponized, then all of a sudden Europe realizes that its payment infrastructure and system would crash to the ground. And so they decided to build their own payment rails, right? They were able to register 50 million users across 20 European countries within 2 years. 7.5 billion euros purchased, and 16 other banks decided to disrupt themselves, something we haven't been able to do very well here as yet, to join the revolution. What does it do? Account-to-account payments settled in under 10 seconds. Imagine getting paid for the work that you do. 10 seconds. Cross-border, across the Caribbean, globally. How many have to spend time running on invoices? No. Okay. I don't have to tell you. Why did Europe do this? Sovereignty. Visa and MasterCard, and I'm not knocking any of the credit card systems. Dalton is my good virgin as well. They control the payment rails that were outside of Europe. SWIFT could be weaponized as the sanctions for Russia demonstrated. And all of the digital payments were flowing to North America and back into Europe. So for sovereignty purposes, they created Wero, which is a payment wallet in Europe, right? And of course, because of that, they're able to apply GDPR, data privacy and compliance standards, to ensure data protection, cybersecurity is built into what they're doing. And now there's a digital euro that's independent of an external payment system. That's what geopolitics did in Europe. China has their own one called CIPS, right? Here's what the Caribbean reality looks like. You remember when we went through COVID and everything shut down? And we finally came out of the dark ages and we thought we were back to normal. And then this young lady by the name of Melissa came by and reminded us that the dark ages are closer than we think. We had a sudden realization that connectivity is critical. Could we have gone to the gas station and gotten a gas and to the supermarkets and gotten a food and stuff? Absolutely. But why couldn't we? There was no connectivity to bring security, even without electricity. In daylight, we could have gone to the service stations, gone to the supermarkets. If there was electricity, the systems were on solar or battery backup, we could have done business between 10 and 2 o'clock and then go back into the dark, right? But the absence of connectivity took all of that away. If you drove through Jamaica, as I did, when you reached Ocho Rios and you started going further, you went into a black hole. Now, some of you are very young people, and you're all born with one of these attached to your hips. Some of you haven't been, are not as old as I am when I used to write pen pal and used to write letters to my girlfriend. So I can live in the analog age, but we can't do business that way anymore, right? So connectivity became important, which means that redundant connectivity options around satellite have become critical so that if our networks are down, our mobile and terrestrial networks are down, then we have a redundant capability through satellite, right? And you'll be hearing more about that in the days to come, about what's going to happen there. We want to make sure that we don't miss the boat, that we're very clear on what all the dependencies are, and that we're ready to capitalize when acceleration takes place in our region. The Caribbean is vulnerable. Why? $20 billion, according to the IDB, flows into the Caribbean. Jamaica has, I think, $3.4 billion record inflows. It's 14% of our GDP. So that's an advantage of being a diaspora nation, but all of those payments are in a different jurisdiction. What if tomorrow we were told that no more remittances to Jamaica, or it costs 6.49% on average to send it today? What if tomorrow that cost goes to 20%? How does that affect us? So we have to think about how we have structural risk based on how our payment systems and our digital rails are constructed and how we are playing in the global system, right? China has done its own thing. India has done its own thing. Taking it back home to Jamaica. How many of you have heard about BIMPay? Or taking it back to the Caribbean? How many of you know what BIMPay is? I see a hand over there. Anybody else? Well, on the 31st of March 2026, Barbados will be launching its own payment rails to settle transactions across Barbados and I believe the OECS, which, by the way, since last September, there's free movement between Barbados and the OECS. You can live in any of those countries, go to school, get your driver's license, work freely. Well, in March 31st, which is a couple of weeks from today, their digital payment system is going to come into effect, where they're going to be settling transactions within minutes, within seconds, instantaneously. I want you to understand what's happening across the region. Where we have failed is that we've tried to push it through Jamdex, and I listened to Richard Biles lament how the bankers are not taking it on. But you saw what Europe did. They were able to get 50 million users onto a system in 2 years and immediately made themselves sovereign and independent of North America, right? Bob Marley is one of my favorite prophets, where there's a will, there's always a way. So BIMPay is coming. Can we rejig Jamdex? PSOJ is also a lobby organization. Can we rejig Jamdex to flow into our own digital payment systems that allows us to settle payments within 10 seconds? Because SMBs need cash to run their businesses. But how are you going to tap into it if your business is not creating digital rails and digital experiences for your customers? That's why I'm encouraging you to be ready. Wired for transformation? I need you to be wired, okay? Within months, and this is wearing my digital hat and looking through that lens, what's happening in cloud across the Caribbean is going to radically transform this year. In our competitor space and in our space as well. I spoke about satellite already. You're going to be in an ecosystem where you will have multiple layers of connectivity. You'll be able to run your businesses in the cloud. That will give you lots of options because you're not technology shops, you're entrepreneurs. You need to make sure that it's secure, it's compliant, and you're getting your money fast. That's it. And then you can focus on what you do. And then once we get to that stage, if you're running a CARICOM business, then we can start imagining a Caribbean single ICT economy where you're now playing across a region that has, how many million people are in the CARICOM? Yeah? Digital is in 25 markets. Everything is through my digital hat right now, right? We have 10 million subscribers. That's just us. There are many other companies across the region. That gives you a sense of what's available. If you're running a B2C, it gives you opportunities. Keep your eye on what's happening with Cuba. There are 8 million people there. Their politics might change. They may become a democracy in the very near future. They're the closest country to. I'm not advocating any politics. I'm advocating economics. What I see are 8 million potential customers if your business is so inclined. And this is where technology is beautiful. Whatever you do in English today is translated to Spanish tomorrow. That's why I love technology. That's why you need digital rails, right? So PSOJ is already doing some work on our own AI and digital and where you are. I give you a synopsis in the cloud. Listen out for more about that. PM Mitchell from Grenada at Cantor asks, how and on whose terms will the Caribbean participate in the digital economy? And you hear a lot of that coming out of Mia Motley as well, out of Barbados. How will it happen? There's a lot of early stage initiatives ongoing. We're still doing the wrong things by building individually instead of building collectively. But it doesn't matter because we will become interconnected as we build. So the opportunities for you is that geopolitics are a tailwind. That's a sailing term, and it's a term that has crossed over into business. Picking on Patrick again, he'll be happy to tell you that business is best when he has tailwinds. That means if you have a boat and you've put your sail up, the breeze is behind you. It's at your tail, so it's pushing you. Okay? So geopolitics, don't get caught up in the politics and the other aspects. I'm talking to entrepreneurs and people who are making money. Look for where the opportunities are and set your targets as high as your president encouraged you to set your targets when he started earlier. So what's coming for the Caribbean? Open banking, instant payments, regional interoperability with our own sovereignty. Our data in our country or in countries that are friends of ours, right? So you can't wait, you need to digitize your operations. Now you need to tap in, wire into the digital rails. And when the cloud comes, investigate, jump on it. A lot of you are already doing that. You're using all these SaaS platforms. That's what the cloud is. You're paying $10 to ActiveCampaign for that and $15 to QuickBooks for that. And that's what we're talking about, cloud. That's what we're talking about. All of these platforms that you're leveraging that are allowing you to have a team, an operations team, so you can focus on executing what your strategy is, right? Treat digital transformation as strategic. Importantly, build the rails so that your customers can have digital experiences with you, whether it's a B2B or a B2C. And I'm going to leave you, make sure your employees are aware about security I cannot tell you publicly the number of businesses that we've had to help from a disrupted position, ransomware incidents. Make sure you're aware of what's happening. 75% of all cyber attacks happen because people click on stuff. You didn't buy the ticket, but you won the lotto. Stop it. And teach your children to stop it. Data privacy is going to be a massive thing. You must protect your customers' data. They have rights. And of course, technology will always be there to help you with managing threats and cybersecurity. So the world's financial infrastructure is being rewired. You can either be a passenger, we can lock up ourselves in our homes and look on, or we can become participants, and they're building the rails that your business needs to be successful. They have no choice. It's been forced and imposed upon us. It has to happen. Make sure that your business is ready for when that tailwind comes so that you can sail off to that dream that called you out of your bed 2 o'clock in the morning to become an entrepreneur. You crazy people. Thank you very much.
Marlon, thank you very, very, very much for your message. And connected to Marlon's message, I'm going to just ask a question here. Where's my wallet? Hold on. I should have. Marlon is talking a lot of sense. He has always spoken a lot of sense from the day I knew him. And dollars. Thank you. So I went for my wallet a while ago because a lot of the foundation on which the ecosystems he explains, very high level what's happening in Europe, also requires us to have proper identification. So my question is, how many people in here has their national identification card? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, a little bit better than the last meeting I was in and I asked. Folks, go and get your national identification card. Tell your friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to get their national identification card. Do not believe the noise. Do not believe the actual act. You're going to say a word a while ago, start with S. Do not believe the rubbish that's being exposed. Just let me. It's not part of the script. Let me get back on script. Folks, get your national identification card. Don't believe the rubbish. Get it where? Oh. I hear somebody bawl out a while ago, Central Sorting Office. But you go online right now on your device. No, don't do it yet. Wait when you finish. NERA.gov.gm. Right, Trevor? NERA.gov.gm. Click on you want national identification card, and then it tells you what to bring to the office. You go down to the office. You spend, Trevor, how long you spend? 30 minutes. So you told me. 30 minutes. And then in a few days, you get your card. Now, I know some people, they have done it, and they've taken longer than 3 or 4 days because of, tell me something. We live in Jamaica, all right? Anybody know what my first name is? Oh, so few people know. My sister is right there. Don't ball out. I discovered that my first name was Gordon when I was almost a teenager. I thought it was Christopher Gordon Henry Record, but it's Gordon Christopher Henry Record. Jamaica we live. Well, a lot of us discovered names that we didn't have when we first see our ID, when we first see our birth certificate. That's what happens to us. Welcome to Jamaica. It's part of our culture because of a wide variety of reasons. And when I sit in the NERA meetings, I am shocked with the stories of the baby born. The father was supposed to go down to the RGD local office. They went, no, they maybe did stop by the bar on the way too, I don't know. But they went and they were inspired to go write a different name by somebody that tell them a story. And then when they reach home, the mother vexed. And then, folks, a lot of things happen Trust me, I sit in those NERA meetings and those RGD meetings, and I'm sitting down there with my mouth wide open. So some people take a little longer to get their card because that office have your name as this office have your name as this, and that other organization, all the different papers, and they have to get all that straight because this ultimately will be our one identification to prove that you are you. So I was invited to sit on a board the other day, and they want multiple identifications. I sent them my identification, and I said, one ID, don't ask me for anything else. And then I cut and paste the laws of our country and dropped it right below it. They said, oh, they didn't know, right? So, folks, Marlon, thank you very, very much. We need to have a discussion because we may need to accelerate some of what you're talking about. I see a hand over there. We're not going to do questions and answers, but anyway, quickly. Yes, that's what I just said. NIRA.gov.jm. Click the button. NIRA. NIRA, National Identification and Registration Authority. .gov.jm. And then you click on the ID. I want ID. It's right on the same page. And then follow instructions after that. Okay, let's get back to regular scheduled programming right now. And so a number of folks, our president, Patrick Hilton, mentioned, Marlon mentioned, our representative from the IDB. Well, A is in there sometimes. My piece of paper says IDB, but anyway, ADB, I said the little a sometimes. So I know both of them are accepted. Everyone is inspiring us. Everyone is suggesting dream bigger, think bigger, and all of this stuff. So again, slightly off the rails, because this is not part of my script, but I'm going to just ask anyway, because it is a PSOJ event. How many people in the room are not members of the PSOJ? Put up your hand. Okay. Don't be shy. We're not going to beat you. Who are not members? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Why I'm asking that question is that the first question on the QR code was asking us why we're here. So could you please put up the results as to why we're here on the screen, please? Can we just press the button? You notice why we're here? What is the biggest? This is what I call a word cloud. A word cloud is created based upon everything that you answer, and then the word that comes up, the word that comes up more regularly gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Do you notice the reason why we're here? Networking. I've been a member of this organization for 20 years. You know why I became a member? Who shouted that? One day, as most of you may or may not have done sometimes, you sit among some friends who seem to have all the solutions for all the problems of Jamaica. Everyone is waxing politically. And of course, when you're having alcohol, alcohol drink in the evening, all of a sudden they seem to be more experts in everything. And they have all the solutions. And then I sat down and started to say, but every week, every Friday I come here, I chat the same foolishness, but you're not doing nothing about it. So I kind of scratched my head and looked around and I said, how can I start to do something about this? And I investigated a couple of organizations and I said, I'm going to become a member of the PSOJ. Because you know that's a PSOJ team member, right? Good, thank you. So I became a member of the PSOJ, and because I said, let me become a member of this advocacy organization who's out there, shaking the cages and making them noise around things that matter to our country and want us to move forward. And that's exactly why I did it. And almost 20 years now I've been a member. I was the chairman of the membership committee. I'm now the chairman of the Innovation and Digital Transformation Committee. Again, why? Because I decided that I'm not going to be part of no problem. I'm going to try to be a part of the solution. Notice I put in the word try, because we have to just keep pushing. And thank you very much to our president for inspiring me about 20 years ago. He doesn't even know this part, that he was giving a speech. We had invited him to one of our PSOJ membership events, and he gave a speech, and I called his office, and could I get a copy of the speech? Because I kept on cutting out pieces, and I re-quote them every now and then to thank you for continuing to inspire us and in the way that you do it. So folks, you see the reason why we are here, and that's what's connected to it. We're here for networking. We're here to learn. So the folks who are not a member, If you don't have a business, it's okay. You can become an individual member. Also, if you're a member of another organization, let's say some association of something or the other, go to that organization and tell them to become a member, because we have something called a association member, right? Somebody asked me the other day, and I said, yes, my friends from, it's Nadine Matthews-Blair, I wonder back there, from the Jamaica AI Association. Yes, we have an organization like that. And they said, hey, how we get involved with PSOJ? I said, simple, go online, click here, and become a member, and so they'll become an association member. So all of their members can get involved and understand what's going on at PSOJ, and for us to move Jamaica forward, right? So, there are a number of technologies and tools. Over the past year and a half, 2 years, I've been giving presentations and workshops to boards and committees and whoever invites me to talk about AI tools. Now, a lot of the times, the invitation, they ask me to come and just give an overview, tell us where we are, because of my role as chairman of the National AI Task Force for the government of Jamaica. So I go and I share the report that we have done. But you know what keeps on happening? Every time I'm in these presentations, they actually don't want that high-level policy discussion. You know what they want? Which tool you use and how to use it. I'm like, that's not what you said on the invitation, right? So what I have found out is that a lot of them are using tools like Microsoft Office. They are using tools like Excel and PowerPoint and Word and all this kind of stuff. But they're out there using ChatGPT, Gemini Pro, Grok, Claude, all these various tools, and just cut and pasting and doing stuff. And I said to them, but you know that you could actually use a tool that is, where's Marlon? Did Marlon leave? Marlon is there. You know, Marlon talks about cybersecurity and protection and protecting your data. So some of these tools, depending on the subscription that you take, you can protect the data and keep the data that you're putting in there and keep it within your organization. It's just not leaving. You're not using that data to train any outside system. That data is only be used in the organization. So one of our innovation and digital transformation committee members had put together a video. He actually was supposed to be here, but he realized this is flight time and it wasn't going to work. He's gone straight to the airport. So I said, okay, let me just play the video to show you, and I'm going to just use one example of what an organization, for example, Microsoft, because most of us use Microsoft tools, can do. So Microsoft has something called Copilot, and the little video, I think, is about 3 to 4 minutes long. It's not very long. Shows some of the wide-ranging things. And the first time I used it, I was actually, and I shouldn't be surprised, but I was actually surprised how my PowerPoint. So I gave a quick description. I said, could you create a PowerPoint using what? And so it was all kept within the Microsoft ecosystem. Wrote it in Word, saved it on OneDrive, pointed to OneDrive, and said, build a PowerPoint out of that. And then the PowerPoint just started going crazy like somebody else was using it, and I was just watching it, and we just finished. I was like, okay, next level. So could you play the video, please? That's a quick thing, Jean? Oh, hold on one
Introducing.
second. The person who's keeping me in check here saying that we have another poll first, right? So this question, the second question is, because it's all connected, what digital platform have you used to increase your efficiency and productivity and save cost? Right? We know which one Marlon used, right? Remember which one Marlon used, which one Marlon used? Claude, right? Marlon, I just signed up for Claude last week, you know. I don't know why I waited so late, because it's amazing. So question 2, please take out your phones and scan, and we will see the answers after. I'm sure the answer is going to be ChatGPT, right? Waiting to start, folks. Don't technology says it's waiting to start. Okay, that gave me a thumbs up again. The scan, and it says waiting to start. So can you fix that? We need to do a better rehearsal next time. Make sure it's all them things that work before the crowd come in, right? It's working now? Okay, 1 say no, 4 say yes. Too many what? Too many heads. Oh, the screen needs to be higher. Oh, asking people for duck. Oh, it's soca time, you know. Bend over. Oh, sorry. Inappropriate. All right, so While that is going on, and folks will answer that question, what platform have you used? Who's given you a lot? Perplexity, DeepSeek, Copilot. Copilot in there 2 times. Oh, this is the caption of the data. All right, fine. All right, so while that is happening, folks, please play a little video. As I said, 4 or so minutes. Let's watch it, and then we'll go straight into the next panel.
Introducing Microsoft 365 Copilot, your Copilot for work. Copilot combines the power of large language models with your data in the Microsoft Graph and the Microsoft 365 apps to turn your words into the most powerful productivity tool on the planet.
Is coming to life in the products millions of people use and rely on every day. Let's see how Copilot can use your customer notes in OneNote as well as another internal document. Copilot quickly creates a first draft. You can turn your Word document into a PowerPoint presentation that you can hone and polish. Let's jump into Copilot in Excel. You start by asking Copilot to analyze the data and give you 3 key trends. Within seconds, you've got what you need. Triage your inbox, highlighting the most important emails to prioritize. You can draft a reply using data from an Excel file, and Copilot will generate a reply for you.
The real magic of Copilot happens during a live meeting. You can ask Copilot to summarize what's happened so far. You can see who said what points were made. You can follow a meeting and catch up to see what you missed, even if you can't attend.
I want to show you an entirely new standalone experience. Business Chat works across all your emails, files, meetings, chats, documents, calendar, and more to turn all your data into knowledge.
Now let's imagine you're working on your business strategy. You ask Copilot to pull up quarterly projections and identify related risks. Copilot gives you key data points and flags potential issues.
We're deeply committed to listening, learning, and adapting with speed to help create a brighter future of work for everyone with AI.
Introducing the next generation of AI in Microsoft Power BI. Copilot in Power BI empowers your people to unlock the full potential of your data and move from data to insights faster. Now, with Copilot in Power BI, you can use natural language to bring your data to life. Simply describe the visuals and insights you're looking for, and next generation AI will create your report and help you refine it. You can then dig into this data further by asking a question, and Copilot will find the best answer. Not only does Copilot help you visualize your data, but it taps into Power BI's advanced analysis capabilities to help you find key influencers and outliers and create forecasts. Copilot can summarize your data into easy-to-understand text narratives that help others quickly get important and relevant insights. And for analysts who are creating calculations and modeling data, you can simply describe what you want, and the code is automatically generated. With Copilot in Power BI, turning data into impact has never been easier.
Thank you very much, folks. So those were the 2 videos merged into one. Just gives you an idea of some possibility of using just one of the tools that a lot of people have and don't realize that they actually have. All right, so we are going to jump into our first panel. And the topic, bots, bytes, e-business, and beyond. Can SMEs go beyond without breaking the bank? Which will be moderated by Mr. Trevor Forrest. Trevor is a Jamaican technology executive, public sector advisor, with over 3 decades of experience across cybersecurity, digital transformation, AI, and blockchain, recognized for translating complex technical realities into practical, delivery-ready decisions, balancing. Look, there's a thing the people have given me. It sounds long, right? So, look, Trevor has had 30-plus years of experience. Trevor and I actually conceptualized this, guess what, over a drink one night at a bar. We came up with the idea of this book, and we actually wrote a book called Successful Digital Transformation, your world, your business, your life reimagined, and we've been kind of talking about it at every opportunity that we get. So without any further ado, I welcome Trevor to bring on his panel with him. Trevor Forrest, over to you. Are you mic'd up, Trevor?
Oh, mics are here.
Okay, good.
Morning, everybody. So thank you very much, Chris. It's a full house this morning. Yeah. I'm kind of feeling like I'm sitting between people and breakfast. Not having had breakfast early this morning. But let me start this off. So we've heard a lot of insightful information from Patrick, from Marlon, Bridget, this brother. Like Chris Marlon was a bare competition in cybersecurity. But we're here this morning because, digital transformation from the perspective of an entrepreneur and MSMEs generally sounds like a very expensive and intimidating undertaking, especially when you're talking about the micro, small, medium enterprises. But as you saw in that video, there are some really cool tools that can allow you to accomplish some really fantastic things. And I know a lot of people look at AI as something that, makes you more efficient. But one of the things AI does is also creates this thing called force multiplication. So what you would be doing with 5 people without AI, contemplate what you can do with the same 5 people and the AI, right? So the capabilities of a lot of these tools allows your business to scale if you apply it correctly. And what we want to look at is how these tools can help your business scale, how it can help you grow, how it can help you overcome some of the challenges that you perceive are challenges that you can actually overcome. So I have a really fantastic panel. I looked at the names when I was asked to do this, and I was like, yeah, this panel turn up. So let me first introduce my panelists. I'm going to start first, and you see Nadine, this is why you don't draw a card and me around the back, because my first panelist, I'm going to give her a new name today, and everybody needs to remember this. Nadine Matthews Blair, according to this introduction, she's an AI trainer and consultant. But here's what I'm going to call her this morning. This is the first lady, Jamaica's first lady of AI, right? So please, thank you for that introduction. You say, you don't draw a card for me? I have whole heap of card in my back pocket. Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Lowe, Dr. David Lowe. He is the top man at the Development Bank of Jamaica. He is the man that controls the funds. All right. Next, I would like to introduce Nyartha. Now, Nyartha is a sector specialist for competitiveness, technology, innovation, and she's with the IDB. Morning. Next, now this gentleman, some of you may not know the full 100 on this guy. Man come from St. Mary, which is where my family come from. Man work for Google. I sent to some very high levels in Google. But he has a technology that I became aware of it about 2-3 months ago. His company is called Yasso. Right? The technology that this gentleman's company has managed to create is, in my view, revolutionary. If you haven't heard about it, go check it out. Right? This gentleman here is going to help this country to revolutionize addressing and on top of multiple things. Help me introduce and welcome Andrew Walker. And finally, Joe here. Oh, yeah. Do you want to sit down? Joel Dean. Now, when we talk about the innovative capacity that Jamaicans have, this young man embodies that. When we talk about looking at problems that we and using technology to solve those problems, that young man. So, Joel, make your way to the stage, sir. Joel is an app developer. He's an AI expert. He incorporates technology into solutions for MSMEs. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is my esteemed panel, and they're going to bring some insights around tools, technology, things you need to do, how these tools can help you. So let me start off with a question that I'm going to pose to everyone on the panel. I'm going to start to my left and move down. When we talk about efficiency, because that's a big thing, when we talk about productivity, when we talk about how we engage customers, because as Marlon said, this is very important because it's the customer, them have the cash, and the business can't work without the cash. One of the things that a lot of MSME owners are keen on understanding is what are the benefits of some of the tools that are available out there, and how can these tools help with digitally transforming their business. So what I kind of want to do is to get the perspective of each of you as to how some of these tools that you know are available, how can they help MSMEs achieve and realize the goals that they have for their different businesses. Nadine?
Thanks, Trevor. You got me. So first, I'd like to say that I am a solopreneur. I run a boutique consultancy and workforce development firm, and I can operate as a solopreneur because I use my AI assistants every day. I'm able to generate proposals. I have a virtual assistant through Manus, and I'm able to do quite a lot with just AI, and we can get into that. But I'd like to start with a framework for why digital transformation is important, and using the digital tools is important. That goes beyond become more efficient and productive. And so it's my ENDS framework. There are 4 reasons. One is omnipresence, and Sir Patrick spoke about that. Digital tools allow you to be everywhere. You don't need to be in one shop. You can be everywhere 24/7 by having a digital presence and leveraging digital tools. The second reason is intelligence. As soon as you are leveraging digital tools, you're starting to get information about your customers. What time are they shopping? What age they are? You have a lot more insights that you can leverage to drive your business. The third area is resilience, and we would have learned this in the pandemic about having backup to the backup, and digital facilitates that. And the last one is independence. Many of us as entrepreneurs find it so difficult to step away because we feel like everything is going to pop down. But if we have on our phone, like Apollo, our QuickBooks, our Claude, our various platforms, there's still a lot we can do, whether it be from the PSOJ forum or at the beach. And so I encourage all entrepreneurs, if you're not doing that already, to really dive into the tools because of those things that I mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lowe.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I have a loud voice. I'm not sure if I need this, but I'll still speak into it. Hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, so I would say there are three key areas. The first is summarizing it as productivity. You alluded to that. Productivity in terms of making sure that you have the capacity to automate in some cases. In other cases, being able to look at information, but data mining to improve a process, remove a step in a process. The second thing has to do with competitive advantages. Using digital tools can help you to be more competitive, allow you to be more effective in how you can correlate your activities against benchmarking in another, with another competitor, and I think that's important. And the third is just basically the learning process. Never before have we seen the ability to get access to information in a way that allows you to learn quickly. What you would have had to go through before in terms of taking a course or perhaps sending staff members to go and learn about something, you could pretty much get access to that information almost immediately. And it goes across goods and services, so we think that's the great equalizer that digital transformation allows. And thirdly, just in terms of your ability to use technology in a way that makes your business model more resilient over time. We've spoken about scalability across borders. The use of technology can extend your capacity to use e-commerce and everything else that we've heard today as the basis on which this is important. So those would be the three key areas I would say marks the importance of this transformational step.
Great.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure. Yeah, okay, all right, great. No, I want to build on what everyone said, and you know, I think from the perspective of the IDB, what we're seeing more and more as we sort of cross data from digitalization, but also environmental impacts, we're actually seeing a real sort of twin transition that could be possible, I think, with some of these tools that I think is not quite exploited. So I'll explain a bit of what that means. We're seeing, for example, that firms that adopt digital technology actually have 9 times higher environmental outcomes. So for example, you think about your IoT devices, you know, in your manufacturing plant, for example, that could detect water leakages or predictive analytics. Or for example, I was sitting behind a trucking company, a guy from the transportation sector. You know, in terms of using AI to map the route and smart logistics, that then becomes a fuel efficiency. So I think that's something that, you know, as small businesses, that also becomes a cost center, you know, where we could help optimize, you know, and streamline operations. So I just want to make that link between the digital transition and the green transition, which I think is still in the look, but a huge potential opportunity.
Right, and I'd like to just support everything that has been said and take it to a different approach where we at our company want to approach it from an infrastructure level where we reduce the barriers for digitization, right? And I'd just like to use a practical example. I was in Ocho yesterday, and I was on the recommendation of our medical doctor, getting an ambulatory service for my uncle. So I called up and I asked, I got a phone number, I called the number, where are you located? And the address I got was behind the market. That's literally the address I got. So I required to be on the phone, someone directing me to find the office of the ambulatory service, right? And just sitting inside and speaking with them, you know, I signed up my uncle, and then I started asking them, how would you love to have an addressing system that doesn't just give you an address, but all of the people that you have signed up? How about a navigation platform to allow your emergency response to happen? Digitize that entire flow, right? And they're like, no, we can't afford that, right? I'm like, you can, because there's a platform that has been built that allows you to digitize that entire flow. Marlon spoke to it earlier. You need multiple interfaces and channels. There's an app for your customers. There's a web front end for you to access the data, right? And Joel is excited about this because we know that in a couple of months, you will be talking to that platform. Where am I most efficient? Where is my response time? You know, the greatest. So we need to build platforms to allow our MSMEs to be able to adopt technology in a meaningful way, right? So that's the angle, right? Just technology at the infrastructure level that allows our country to develop.
Great, thank you. Joel? Yes. All right, everyone. So I think the angle I want to take this question from is the practical usages of AI. The most important thing for smaller businesses to do is to just start utilizing the technology, but from a very practical standpoint, meaning, you know, you go to Claude, you go to Gemini, etc. You put in your prompt, you put in your Excel sheets, your PDF documents, things you normally do in your day, and try to test the model's reasonability. Is the model able to actually complete this task? And I think that is going to be the most important thing, because if you don't use the tool, you don't realize its capabilities. And there is this thesis called the extended mind thesis, where you have to think of AI as a cognitive architecture that can enhance your workflows. And the only way to do that is to actually leverage the technology to actually see its capabilities. Because when we think about work, you know, you may wake up one day and you're like, okay, man, I have this Excel spreadsheet, financial projections to do. It's going to take the entire day, right? But you have never tried Claude in Excel, where you can drop in that Excel spreadsheet and there is an advanced model, Opus 4.6, that can turn hours of work into minutes. So it's all going to be about creating your workflows, measuring how long you take versus how long AI takes, and then staying in that feedback loop, measuring, measuring, measuring. Every single time a new model comes out, you try to test it. And one of the biggest challenges with AI we always hear about is hallucinations, that the model makes mistakes, right? And that trust factor is one of the biggest things. However, there are verification mechanisms that you can put into your workflows, deterministic steps and mechanisms that you can use to verify if something is actually accurate. And you only develop these verification workflows and logic gates by actually playing around with the model, leveraging the tools. So that is my core advice. It's all about using the tools, realizing that they are here to help and they are not necessarily here to replace. I'm all about collaboration with AI.
So Joel used some big words and some very technical jargon, which I know some of the, because one as an entrepreneur, but I try to sell technology as well. You got to certain MSMEs and entrepreneurs are like, what are you talking about? So here is what happens. You see, when Joel talks about complex algorithms and testing, and then Nadine makes that make sense, right? So just so you know how this works, right? Something I just want to point out as well is that, again, you're going to hear a lot to talk about AI because that's the hot term these days, but don't let that detract from the fact that there are other tools that are out there that are fundamental to running your business. And as an entrepreneur, I was one of those solopreneurs as well. When you are running your own business, it becomes overwhelming because, look, you have to do the accounts, you have to do the customer relationship management, you have to make, depending on the kind of company you have to monitor so many things. And if you're the only one doing it, you're like, listen, while I do this stuff, I need to clone myself about 5 times. And one of the things I think we're seeing now is how the technology, with the help of artificial intelligence, can actually make that a reality. So in Jamaica, we have a lot of MSMEs in a whole lot of different arenas. It's manufacturing, retail, technology, and so on. One of the things that It's always a challenge. It's okay. I'm in this business, I'm in this area. I know I need to use technology, but which tools should I use first? Which tools will actually help me to realize these business goals? Because the challenge is, one, I don't know the tool them, because we're not really too up on the technology. But which tool should be the first one I use to move me on that journey? So the question here is, with MSMEs in all these different sectors, what types of digital tools should they prioritize, right? And how should MSMEs deal with issues tied to using these digital tools, right? Because, you know, we're moving first to the digital. Everybody says, let's get digital. But going digital has some baggage associated. Primary one is security of the data and information. So, how should businesses determine which tools they should prioritize in their journey when they're doing this digital transformation, when they're going digital? Nadine?
Let me see if this works. Before you get into tools, start with what are the problems that you need to solve, or what are the big opportunities that you haven't been able to unlock because you're constrained. Many times we get caught up with, I need to try AI, I need to get a mobile app. And I'm going to use analogy to fitness today, because we need a treadmill, we need a Peloton, and then we bring it home and it stays in the corner. Persons do that every day with AI and digital, because we didn't think about what problem we're trying to solve or what opportunity. So what is most painful if you are a physician and you have your own practice? What keeps you up at night? What's keeping you away from giving your all to your patients? And you put those things on a list and you come up with a simple framework in terms of, you know, how much time is this taking? What's the cost of my time? What's the impact on my customer, right? And then you lead with that. Once you kind of nail down the problems and the opportunities, and the good thing is that AI can be your friend in terms of identifying the tools that are available to you. And so it literally can just be, here's everything about my business, here are the top problems that I have, share with me some tools. So I'm never gonna lead with the tools. There are a ton of great ones that I can recommend, but I recommend starting with the problem and the opportunities.
So what I'm hearing then is, don't approach it from, oh, I'm trying to find a specific tool. Start from what you know. What is your problem? What are you faced with? What are you trying to solve? And then ask AI to help you to solve this problem by suggesting some things that you can, okay. So you see how AI can be that consultant, not taking away from the consultant work here, but AI can be that consultant that helps you to at least get an idea of where you need to start. I'm gonna jump to Nyartha to get your views on this particular question, but perhaps from your knowledge and your perspective of what happens regionally, not only in Jamaica but regionally. Because you know, one of the things that we have to look at is, okay, if we are going to, as Patrick said, you know, not only limit ourselves to Jamaica, but look regionally and globally. What are some of the things and tools that we have to consider when we're looking to start small and scale in that way?
That's a good question. So I would bring the perspective of the IDB, you know, working in 26 member countries across the region. And I want to come to a digital event with a notebook, but just to give some data, and I will close this book. But I just want to put in context, you know, where Jamaica stands as opposed to the rest of the region, and to say that, you know, we're not doing badly at all. So firstly, over 70% of MSMEs in Latin America and the Caribbean are still very much at basic levels of data and analytical use, over 70%. So it's still quite a high number. And I want to quote from Uruguay in particular, because we were there last week with David Lowe and others from the Jamaican delegation. And why Uruguay is important is because it has actually a very similar size to Jamaica in terms of population, about 3.6 million. But in terms of how they were able to leapfrog is quite astounding. But still, when it comes to data and digitalization and where their MSMEs are, less than 10% use specialized data analytic systems. About 40% still use paper and filing cabinets. And only 3% have actually built-in analytical models, within their business processes. So when we compare that with Jamaica, and I was able to look at some of the statistics, Jamaica obviously has, like many of the Caribbean islands, a high level of mobile penetration, high levels of businesses with social media accounts, with websites, etc. But where we see that number drop is how those tools are then incorporated into the business processes, into the workflows. So for example, simple things like electronic payments, mobile payments, we see about 40% of businesses saying that they've heard about these platforms and these opportunities. But then when you probe them even further, how many are actually using this in their businesses and interfacing with their customers? And then that number drops to under 10%. So we see, the various cutoff levels in terms of the awareness of the technology is there, but in terms of how we're actually using it and leveraging it, is quite distinct, but not unlike some of the other countries out there within the region. So I think this is a challenge that we're seeing, from across the region that we want to address. And one of the tools that we have at the IDB, and we also have it as well in English, and I would encourage everybody to have a look after, is something that we developed called the Chequeo Digital, like the digital checkup tool. Because we saw this as the first opportunity for businesses at no cost to be able to do a diagnostic as to where they are in terms of their digital maturity and the types of steps and technologies that they could take within their businesses to move to the next level. So it's a 30-minute questionnaire, about 6 to 7 different modules. It asks about technology use, digital systems, how you're storing your data, etc. And it also gives you a benchmark over time. So if you were to do the assessment today, and you made some upgrades, and then you come back in 6 months and it would give you a benchmark as to where you are. It would also give you a benchmark as to where you are vis-a-vis your peers. So, for firms of similar sizes in similar sectors, how are you doing in relation? And it also gives sort of a digital maturity level. So we've also translated that tool into English. It's available together with Caribbean Export on their page. It's free, digital checkup tool. And I would encourage for small businesses, that's an easy place to start because it doesn't require any resources. I know we're here to talk about how we could do this cheaply. And I think that's a good first step in terms of really just understanding where you are within your digital maturity journey and how you could get to the next step.
So one of the things that we need to do then is, in trying to figure out where we need to go, we need to assess. And then after we find out where we are versus where we want to go, then we can say, hey, Claude, help me out here, right? Or Chat, or Gemini, help me out here based on where I've assessed my business to be versus where I want to go, and what are some of the things that I can use. Now, one of the things I have kind of come to learn and appreciate when you come here is, yes, we tell you what you should do, but oftentimes we never tell you what you should use. So, you heard about Microsoft, PowerPoint, Word, and Copilot. But what are some of the e-commerce tools? What are some of the customer relationship management tools? What are some of the accounting tools? And what I'm going to just inject based on my knowledge of providing these tools to customers, I will inject, and I'm not being paid to say these, I'm just pulling them out of knowledge, right? But when you talk about accounting tools, the popular ones are QuickBooks, Zoho Books, Wave for the solopreneurs, FreshBooks, and so on. So take a look at some of these platforms for accounting You can also look, if you're talking about how you engage your customers, customer relationship management, again, you have HubSpot. These are tools you can look at. You're going to hear me say Zoho a lot. So Zoho CRM, Zoho Begin. There are a lot of tools. And the good thing about these tools is a lot of them operate on what they call a freemium model. So you can get into them for free up to a particular level. And then as your business starts to grow, you then start to pay for added features. So I'm going to inject some of those things as we go so that you kind of know some of the things that you can use, all right? So moving on, I'm going to target, yes, I'm the interrogator in chief this morning. I'm going to target Dr. Lowe because I know for me, one of my biggest challenges when I was clueless going into this business thing, because I never want to work for anybody, was the money part, right? How much do you need, where you get it, how you get it, the case you have to make. And one of the things that a lot of business owners don't know is how much do I need to get, how much will I be spending on this whole digital transformation thing. So from your perspective, Dr. Lowe, how much should MSMEs realistically budget for digital transformation and the role that can play in reducing costs for their business? Because, yeah, you're telling me I need to buy all of this technology or invest in all this technology. Well, how does that equate? How do I get and realize that return on that investment?
Okay, that's a simple question, but it doesn't give me an opportunity for a simple answer, okay? So let me start by just referencing my colleague to my right in terms of what you spoke about readiness, in terms of how do you determine which tools should be considered when, you have to look at the problem first and making sure that the scope of that problem fits the need of that particular intervention. So if you're saying that you have if you have a problem with maintaining good record keeping because want to become credit worthy, what is the first step that you need to do? It is to have an accounting software, just like what you said, making sure that you don't go to the bank with a shoebox filled with pieces of paper and a fold leaf, right? You need to be able to have something that's digitally capable of providing easy access to information for yourself and to a potential lender in the credit space. Beyond that, in terms of what's ideal and what's suitable, there's no prescription to say that you must spend X of a budget, even though we see in reports from a GDP perspective and in sometimes the large corporates tend to share their capital expenditure based on percentage of revenues and so on. In an MSME environment, it's really just dedicated to that source of need that can become scalable. So you take bite-sized pieces, you evolve slowly. Again, it's not prescriptive to say that you must do this or you must do that. You start with having a plan to move along that process. But I have to use this opportunity to sort of step back and also explain why I'm here amongst so many talented tech people when I'm a banker. And we see ourselves at the development bank really trying to work with the commercial banking landscape to provide concessional rates, to assist startups, early stage companies, and even more mature stages get to the next milestone in development, which usually includes the ability to scale with efficiency. And that's where technology plays a role. And at the development bank, yes, credit is one of the main tools that we have in terms of providing concessional rates and terms to prospective borrowers who need to scale and be active in the digital space. But we also have a tremendous program with IDB, which we're very proud of, and you would have heard some remarks earlier about the Biggie program. I don't think we do enough to really share in the impact of that program and what it has done to many, many startups who quietly are scaling. We don't see a lot of micro businesses getting to this point of being a milestone as a small or a medium. And what Biggie tends to, or has been doing very well, is to provide the capacity building. So as a bank, we also see the importance of having capacity building as part of this evolution for small business. The third one quickly is, so there's credit, there's the capacity, and then there's the collateral issue. We're on two sides of this coin. We're not only looking at you in terms of the businesses that need to scale with the use of technology to become efficient. We're also looking at innovators, and those innovators who are providing solutions, as many of us on this platform are doing. We want to be there to also provide encouragement, an ecosystem of growth, and to provide funding that's not debt-based to allow that growth and that innovation to take place. So we have different tools that we're introducing, developing, enhancing to ensure that that innovative spirit continues to grow.
Excellent, excellent. And I got my time check a while ago.
Sure.
So I'm going to jump over to Andrew because I want him to, again, from the standpoint of, because I know in your Google experience and how Google models things to target micro, small, and medium-sized businesses, to if you could just give the audience an idea of some of the things that they could use to help them to start and then to scale. So we're talking about, I mean, we use it all the time. We're talking about cloud-based services, incorporating AI into their workflows. And so can you just speak really quickly about some of the things, practical things that exist that they can use to help them, you know, start small and scale?
Right. I would just want to say that this is a really exciting time to start a business. It's on the tools and opportunities that are available. From the old school, you remember like starting a tech company and you have to have your own data center with equipment in the data center. And
no longer needed.
No longer need all of that, right? Everything is available. And I know sometimes it's scary when you hear about how do I, you know, have cybersecurity protection and how do I handle all of that. I would just like to quickly go back to the platforms that take care of that for you. As you mentioned, like just having systems that are operating in the cloud, right? That comes with a lot of protection out of the box for you, things you don't have to think of just from a platform level. That's what I would recommend actually, just taking advantage of those cloud-based systems that a lot of the concerns that you have would be taken care of.
So there's no need to think about, oh boy, I forgot to buy all sort of machine and server and all these. All you need is your laptop network connectivity or connectivity to the internet, and you can get started. And let me just close out with your views, Joel, on that, because I know you have a nifty little tool, shameless plug, Jambot, that does some very interesting things. But how did you get to where you are? Because your experience can be also, it's a lived experience that could benefit all, because you don't have, you know, the 50,000 developers that Microsoft has, but you're able to create a product that can rival some of the major products out there.
Yes, so I think just to answer that first question, I think it's all, one of the things I did well was like spotting opportunities in the global markets and using existing tools. And
what were some of those tools? Because I want people to know the tools. I don't want you tell me how you use. Tell them some of the tools.
All right, so I'm one of Jamaica's most prolific remote workers. When I left college and I looked at the job market here, I realized that the kind of cars I want to drive and the kind of money I want to make, I wouldn't be able to make it here. So what I did was I went onto Twitter. And Twitter is like this social network, but everybody loves to talk about what they're doing. So I followed around 300 Android engineers, people that work at Square, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, everything. And because these engineers are so bright, they were always talking about everything they're doing, their blogs, their books they're reading, where they're walking their dogs, everything.
Digital networking.
I bookmarked every single thing they were doing. I mean, I had a folder taking screenshots, every single thing, and I just studied how they worked. And then once I did that, I went to look for remote jobs. They didn't have Jamaica on the list. But because I actually studied the way how they do business, the standards that they operate at, I was able to secure 6-figure USD salaries while living in Kingston. Because what we have to realize about the world is it's very connected and it's driven really by standards. So once you can actually utilize social networks and different communities and groups globally, you can unlock these standards and also join in local communities. There's a local community here called Global Shapers, and this is part of the World Economic Forum. And I joined this community and I was doing charity work with this community for 5 years. In Trenchtown, all across Jamaica, helping the youth. 2 years ago, they had an opportunity. AI is going to be in Davos, Switzerland. 12,000 people are in this community globally. I applied and I was selected as one of 50. Flown, all expenses paid, to Davos. I won't lie, I cried. I was in the room with Bill Gates, Sam Altman, Reid Hoffman, a bunch of the different US billionaires, Robert Smith, among billionaires and like the prime ministers of countries, just because of work I did here on the ground in Jamaica. So it's very important to see the global stage. And then just to plug Jambot, Jambot is a very amazing piece of technology I built with Benjamin Rosset and several members of the IDB. And it's a very foundational piece of technology because it's a WhatsApp AI system that you can talk to in Patois to complete government forms, birth certificates, police records, TRN applications, full-fledged Patois. It fills out the form in the back end, right on WhatsApp, accessible to every single person in Jamaica once it's launched. Yeah,
Great.
so just to showcase the capabilities of the technology, like the technology is here and we can use it to transform.
Right. So thank you very much for that. And I think a takeaway from that, which eludes many people, is there are networks of people, like-minded business people, like everybody in here. Go and find these networks, join these networks. They're on LinkedIn, they're on Twitter, they're on TikTok, Instagram, all over the place. And you'll find that one of the greatest benefits is to engage with people who are doing the same things that you're doing, because here what happens, they have the same problems where you have. And invariably you'll find that when you talk about it, the solution to your problem, somebody already solved that problem, and you may have solved a problem that somebody else is having. So you're getting through this digital community insights and help. They can also, because I find this very helpful, you ask them, what platform are you using to do this? And you'll be surprised at how many responses that you get. And that kind of stuff also helps you in the question of what do I prioritize in my business, because there are people who have done it and they're very willing to share the knowledge with you. So go online, join groups like what Joel did. A lot of us do that. I know Chris does it, I do it, and there are a lot of people in here who do that. And I think in wrapping up, a couple of takeaways. You don't have to build everything from scratch. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are platforms out there that can help you to do what it is that you need to do. And you can also multiply and clone yourself using technology like artificial intelligence, as long as you know what to ask it, how to ask it. And if you're wondering how to do that, this lady beside me has master classes. I wonder if you pay me for this though. Has master classes that helps you, because a lot of people fear the technology. They're not clear on it. Well, it's demystified by, people like Nadine. Chris does it as well from time to time. I'll jump into that space. But don't be afraid to engage these people, a lot of us are willing to share the knowledge and information, and do not be afraid of the technology, because a lot of the platforms that you need to get into them, it doesn't cost you anything. Starts off at $0 per month, and as your business grows, you can start to grow and pay for the features that you need as your business grows. I hope this has been helpful for you. We'll be here for the better part of the morning. Feel free to ask any one of the panelists for the question, and thank you to my panelists for your contribution.
Panel, before you disappear, just step forward for a quick photo. So ladies and gentlemen, as we do what we need to do to stay on track, keep on track, I'm not even putting this back on the stage, I'm just staying here and just doing this part. AI isn't coming, it's here. I hope we all know and understand that, and people are using it in a wide range of ways. I'm not going to do the other panel question right now. I'm going to just invite in. I'm not going to do the other screenshot survey. Sorry, I'm rushing. I'm going to just invite the other panel to come up, and I will ask our panel moderator, who is, do I have all the right papers in front of me? Oh, I'm juggling, I'm doing too many. Found it. Good, right here. Good. Mr. Jermaine Nairn. Did I get the last name right? I need to get the last name right. All right, Senior Manager, Talent, Performance, and Culture, Jamaica National Group. He'll be our moderator for this panel. Thought leader, international speaker, specializing in culture, transformation, strategic talent management, and global change initiatives. Currently serving as Senior Manager for Talent, Performance, and Culture at the Jamaica National Group. Jermaine, you want to bring you and your panelists up? The panelists that will be there includes, well, I think you're going to do your introductions, right? All right. Well, let's just get everybody on the stage. Ms. Deidre Cousins, CIO for Grace Kennedy. Mr. Michael Gordon, Chief Innovation Officer for UCC. Ms. Stacey Hines, CEO for Epic Transformation. And Tamara Nelson, Chief Technical Director for Jamaica Productivity Center. So, Jermaine, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like we could have a part 2 of the first discussion, but for the sake of time, and yes, I am standing between you and refreshment, I'm going to ensure that I try to be as succinct as possible. I hear some people saying no. Oh, you're a good audience this morning. Excellent. Captivated. So we just spoke about making access to digital tools cheaper, more financially friendly. But of course, it's one thing to have the access, it's one thing to acquire the tools, but as was said by one of our panelists earlier, it's like bringing home that exercise equipment and it stays in the corner and gathers dust and spiders and insects. Likewise, having acquired the tools, how do we leverage those tools? Do we really have the people who can use the tools? Do we have the people, are we upskilling them, reskilling them? Are we preparing them for the future? And we heard earlier that Jamaica is a good way ahead. We think we're bad, but we're not so bad. Yes? We're making progress. And a recent survey by the Jamaica Business Development Corporation found that 32% of survey respondents used digital technologies daily and understand their benefits. Now, we talk about digital technology as if it is divorced from people, when really and truly the technology is the catalyst, but the technology needs people to drive the transformation. Yes or no? Yes? And so the discussion this morning with this very august panel really will surround how we can fill those gaps, the digital skills gaps, some strategies for upskilling, and how MSMEs can build a workforce that is future ready. Where technology is concerned, it is no longer about preparing for the future. The future is here. And so it almost appears as if we exist in a state of continuous futuring. And so how do we build on that? And so the first question that I want to get to is understanding the problem. What are the biggest digital skills gaps facing Jamaican MSMEs today? And why are these digital skills so difficult for people to embrace? Some people appear almost allergic to digital skills. And I want to start with general comments from our panelists, and then we can take it a little further.
All right, so starting with me. Good morning, everyone. All right, so digital skills, as you mentioned, is really critical. And there is a digital skill gap because of the expectations that the business has, or managers or leaders, and the capabilities. Now, there's a report that came out from World Bank on the digital economy, and it says less than 40% of the employees are digitally competent when it comes to basic literacy. Less than 10% when it comes to more advanced. Now let's break it down. So we talk about the gap, we have to look at it in terms of that kind of category. So when you look at the basic, there is a need for more training in terms of just some of the basic tools that we spoke about earlier, Microsoft applications to help with collaboration with teams with Microsoft. When you look at more intermediate type training programs, it's around how do you use some of those tools to help your business operations. So we spoke about the accounting tools. There needs to be training around that, the e-commerce tools, digital marketing. How can you use data and analytics to help your business, to understand about your customers, to track your business performance. And then when you look at the more advanced tools, we've been speaking a lot about AI. How can we now use artificial intelligence to drive your business decisions, as well as business intelligence? And we talk about cybersecurity to secure your business infrastructure. So there is a gap in terms of that kind of training and building the capabilities to meet your overall business strategy. So it's really a strategic risk. It's not even so much a talent issue. But the expectation is not that you're going to be a jack of all trades with everything. It's important to understand what is good for your business and how do you now plug that gap, because you can also leverage external help. We talked about AI and automation, and I'll have a plug. I don't see my partners here from Valenta. Yes, Roger and and Erica. I mean, there are organizations that are out there that can help you also in terms of automating and outsourcing some of those solutions. Now, why is it difficult sometimes? It's because of that fear. There's a fear because there's a fast pace in terms of just the evolution of technology. Every day you wake up, you hear about something else. And it's going to be difficult for you as a business to constantly be changing in that way. It's not cost effective. You have to decide what is good for you, again, in terms of your business objectives, and focus. Because otherwise, you will find yourself in a tech debt, having all these applications and tools and not getting the adoption, not getting the benefits. There's also, of course, the confidence, and really to empower your team members in terms of how to really utilize these things to get the benefits out of them, to drive the adoption. So change management is very important. I don't want to take up all the time. I'm very passionate about it. But in terms of the difficulty, and the business also, again, have to understand in terms of the overall objective, not just solving problems here and there, but what is a long-term goal, and to embrace the change.
Thank you so much, Deidre. A strategic risk indeed. I want to throw to Michael. Michael, Deidre mentioned, and we've been hearing it, this whole matter of fear. What is your take about the fear that exists around embracing
What
technology?
I've observed is that a lot of SMEs and even senior, large companies, they fear loss of control. They're not sure what's going on with the software, not sure what's going on with the staff. Additionally, they don't know how to calculate the return on investment, So they don't push forward, they don't experiment, they don't invest.
Thank you for that. Tamar?
Okay, so I consider myself the average Joe on this panel, or Josephine in that matter, right? But from my vantage point as the productivity center, what we see in terms of fear, there are numerous fears there happening all around. From the top, we have that fear of the investment. From the people side is the fear of losing my job, right? And you hear that a lot. And when the pandemic started in 2020, the figures that were coming out that technology would be replacing jobs, it was about 15% of those jobs would be replaced. In 2025, they redid that survey. It's dropped down to 9, right? So what we need to look at are the opportunities that are evolving. And the opportunity is that there are about 92 million jobs that are evolving from the technology. And so we need to look at that and see how we can embrace it. Because the fact is, in Jamaica here, our MSMEs contribute 40% to GDP and employ 34% of our labor force, and that's huge. So there's a huge impact and a huge opportunity by embracing the technology, but not just embracing it for embracing its sake, right? As an industrial and systems engineer, we have to look at how you merge what the technology is with the people, the processes, the systems together to get the best outcome. And that's where productivity comes in.
Excellent. Well said. Thank you very much for that. Stacey, I want to jump to you. Michael mentioned that there's a lack of understanding about the ROI. From a leadership perspective, what are your thoughts on how we embrace this particular area?
Okay, thank you for the question. So I just want to get a sense of the room. How many MSMEs do we actually have in the room? Just raise your hand. Okay, all right, good. So when it comes to return on investment, I think to simplify that, it is what's in it for me. And that's the first, after becoming aware that you need to make a change, that's the next step, the desire. And nothing changes or transforms unless people can see what's in it for them. So if I am an MSME, which I also am, I'm a micro solopreneur, and I have to figure out where I'm getting this cash from. So I'm pulling from all the conversations we've had today. I need cash. And right now when I look at my P&L, my budget, I'm looking from the bottom up. It is red, it is negative. So when you say to me, oh, and we now have these other things, these tools, we now have tools that you will actually be able to leverage to help you to get to value, I'm immediately saying, well, I need to run my day-to-day so that I can have the cash, so that I can get the tool. So I think one of the things that we have to start paying attention to is how we democratize access to transformation and how we support our MSMEs in getting the digital skills training that they need, in closing that gap. And sometimes it goes back to access to capital or access to finance, because we immediately start talking about they need the training and they don't have the time, but they don't have the money. And they also don't have the confidence that if I spend the time that I do have and the money that is available to me, that I'm going to actually get the return that I desire.
It is quite paradoxical that we want the training, we want the digital skills training, but we're saying that, oh, we don't have enough channels, enough avenues to receive that training, when online there are so many options. I want to get a sense from you, panelists, where people are going to access digital skills training. And we spoke about cost. How does that factor in to that access that they so need? So I'll start with Tamar. Tamar looks like she's burning.
No, I saw you looking at me. All right, so we all know about all the platforms that are available now, the Coursera, the Udemy, etc. Some persons work well with those online platforms. Some persons prefer the face-to-face and the hands-on. And we heard today of many tools that are available through the discussions so far, and from the other panel, persons who are able to deliver that kind of training, right? So we have the tools here. You have DBJ, you have MIIC, that has been doing a lot of work. The IDB has been doing a lot of work, you know. But what I see in organizations is that you will have persons within the organizations who are at this level as it relates to digital technology, and some that are here. What we encourage persons to do is have that kind of peer-to-peer support within the organization, where, you know, one hand wash the other. You help pull each other up, for example, right? That's a low-cost way of bringing up the skill level in your organization, right? A train-the-trainer approach, exactly. And then, you know, we can go beyond that, where within our clusters, within our associations, within our various groups, we can have, again, a sharing in that way, so that everybody, you know, gets to learn. Not everybody will have the opportunity to go to these international digital shows, but if you do, it's highly recommended. You know, and for those who go back, they can come back and share. So those are some ways in which, practical ways in which.
I want to play devil's advocate for a second, and I'm going to throw to Deidre about this one. You mentioned peer-to-peer learning, but within the context of a national culture that feeds into organizational culture, where nationally we haven't done a great job at succession planning, and it's due in part to a fear that those who you train and develop will replace you sooner than you would like. Deidre, how do you think we can improve that particular way of developing digital skills, the peer-to-peer learning?
Well, you touched on a very important point. I think you want me to speak more on that in terms of succession planning, right? One of the things you have to do also as leaders and as managers, supervisors, to empower our team members, empower our staff members, so that they can also aspire to become seniors. Now, one of the things that we have to do is just to put a structure around that. And I'll just share what takes place at Grace Kennedy. Immediately as you enter and you join Grace Kennedy, we see you as a valuable, you know, contributor to the organization, and we look at a career path in terms of your journey, and that's one way in terms of retaining staff. And what we do from there on is to look at some of your training gaps or opportunities in which we can then further invest. And if it is that your ambition is to become a chief information officer or a chief risk officer, there is a path that is designed for you, and the training then supports that. Similar in IT, I mean, that's part of my portfolio in terms of identifying those training opportunities based on your development path. And then there is a succession plan because you're aspiring to go to another role, a more senior role, and then you're prepared for that role. And within all of that, what we have also done is to establish internal training. So yes, there are online courses, but coming from that now, we invite consultants and subject matter experts to come in from time to time to then train the staff to build the skills level, to upskill and to fill that gap for us. So when the time comes, when the position becomes vacant, you are ready. So there's experiential learning because you're there working alongside the person you aspire to become in terms of that role. And then there's also the training that we set up formally where we have, you know, courses, and we actually give you certificates for that. So as you mentioned, the peer-to-peer is very important, and we put some kind of structure around it, and that's part of the succession planning work.
It sounds like Deidre needs to sell a template to many organizations in Jamaica. But there is no way I could move on without pulling in Michael. Michael, you are the Chief Innovation Officer for a higher educational institution, UCC.
Right.
Tell us about the role of such institutions in making digital skills training more affordable.
Right, so we're partnering with Google to provide about 6 digital skills: cybersecurity, digital transformation, and AI adoption. Additionally, we have a small business development center that provides low-cost training for SMEs to do for AI adoption and various digital skill sets. So if you look at it, I think one of the big things we need to do is probably look at all the other, most of the panelists said, there are lots of tools and programs already existing. We just need to start coordinating them within associations like PSOJ, SBAJ, and so forth, to provide access to funding. Right, there's money out there already. Training courses, free and paid, right, that our various SMEs can access.
Let me see a show of hands of the SME players in the room. You heard what Michael said a while ago? They have low-cost training available. I want you to remember that and access it. All right? And if low to no cost, I'm putting in the no cost.
With the Google programs are free. The SBDC programs start like 2,000 Jamaican for like an AI primer, right? And they go all the way up to say $50,000 for like sales on Amazon and so forth.
So in other words, with all the avenues that are available, this is true democratization of access. Yes? So we have no excuse. We have the tools to move us ahead. Now let me jump to the whole matter of national endorsement. Legitimacy is important as far as the main players are concerned. What do you see as the role of government and industry players in ensuring that digital skills are developed and developed at the pace that they should be? And I'll start, I think, with Stacey.
So to jump back to the question that was before I get into this one, when you talk about is it free and peer-to-peer learning, I just wanted to share that we are having our first Caribbean AI Summit next week, Wednesday. It's fully virtual, it is free, and you have a couple of the persons that you would have seen on the previous panel are going to be actually teaching on that summit. It's from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Jamaica time, and we have persons from Cayman, from Belize, from Barbados, and Trinidad who are also going to be sharing AI skill sets, things you need to know. And I think it's important that I raise that with the question that you asked about industry and national and government, because we need to be investing in the local people who are familiar with the local constraints and opportunities in training our people. As an AI educator myself, my first check that I got, because I'm building a platform to support MSMEs in their transformation process. And the first check that I was written was from a company in Barbados in 2023 for me to go there to provide training to 20 MSMEs. And what I find is that we spend a lot of time talking about things here, and I would love to see us move from that talking to actually leveraging our local talent and leveraging our local consultants and business persons who are also a part of the MSME community in delivering some of this training. In a lot of the scouting work that I've been doing since I went full-time in my company to actually go into businesses and offer them training and upskilling on AI, not necessarily at the MSM, at the smaller business level, but at the corporate level. Many of those organizations already received some training from overseas partners. Of 10 companies that I may have called, I would say 7. And I feel that from a national perspective, that's something that can actually support how we not only embody the change, but also implement the change. you would have seen a panel full of very able, capable, and available persons offering these services, but we are struggling with the same challenges that the MSMEs in this room are struggling with. So from a national perspective, I actually think that that's something that we can do something about. I think organizations like the PSOJ, when we're talking about advocacy, and organizations like what used to be the Computer Society, that is now the Jamaica Technology and Digital Alliance, I think companies like that, Jamaica Artificial Intelligence Association, that we will continue to lobby the government to really leverage local players, local providers, local MSMEs in the rebuilding, upskilling, and transformation of our peers.
Well said. That's right. I'll send around the offering plate in a little bit. Now, Stacey, it is interesting that we talk about, ensuring that we spread the knowledge. But do you think we're doing enough in terms of a national campaign? Yes, we have evangelists like Chris, who we hear and see all the time talking about embracing the digital technology, etc. But on a national scale, are we doing enough in terms of campaigning, reinforcing, sending the message, driving it home at various levels and in various sectors?
I think we have started, and we're heading in the right direction. What I think we do need to do more of is having the conversation in more rooms, maybe, because I know that there are lots more MSMEs out there, and the room is not completely at capacity, right? So I think we're on the right path. You'll see JBDC is doing a tour. I think we need to have more of those types of things, and I believe that when you look at the roster of events, even since we started the year, that are being hosted by, whether it's the PSOJ hosting this one, events that are being hosted by individuals or groups, Kingston Beta, there's just a lot of activity and agitation that's happening in the space of transformation and upskilling. So are we doing enough? I don't think we're there yet, but I do see a lot more agitation. I see a lot more conversation happening, and I think we can continue to amplify that if every single association or organization that is supporting MSMEs has that mandate to include transformation in what they're doing.
In other words, we need the compound effect of the agitation of various players in various spheres bursting through the ceiling. Yes?
Absolutely.
Now, I'll go back to Deirdre for a second. What role do you think the private sector can play in developing a talent pipeline in this area?
Well, I wanted to also touch on the government.
Go ahead.
Role too, because I think a lot has been done so far, and I want to also commend HEART, NSTA. They have been really doing a lot to train and upskill the digital talent out there, and there are a few other local government organizations. But the challenge is that I think there needs to be more cohesiveness in terms of just having our overall digital skills strategy, where we can truly assess and identify where we are, what are those gaps, what are the training opportunities available, and we have so many different agencies and institutions having a stake in it, but we're not working collaboratively. It's very fragmented. So if there can be some more structure around that to put together a framework so that SMEs can know what is available. And again, as you touch on the private sector, it's not just the private sector, it's about a partnership with the government, the private sector, and academia. How can we work closer together? And I want to also just commend our local university, UTech. They're doing quite a bit, right, Council? In terms of just training and very deliberate and focused about training the technical skills. They've recently launched a lab called IMEC, right? And it's about manufacturing and knowledge and engineering. The state, one of the best in the world in terms of what is available in terms of that whole 3D printing and the technology that is there. So there is a lot going on, but how can we now pull it together, right? So they invite now the private sector to see how we can invest in this type of training and technology development. and to see how we can utilize the universities because they're churning out really great talent. And we have also from the private sector tap into that in terms of getting interns from the university to help us too, because they are bright minds out there, very innovative, and can help your business too, because they need the experience, they need the exposure, and can help your business to achieve its overall objectives. So there just needs to be more partnership with the government, the private sector, and academia to see how we can build the skill sets together to reach our overall vision.
I have to put on my talent hat for a second here. So we have these institutions churning out talent that can fill certain gaps. However, there is a sense that many of these individuals, fresh out of university, have certain expectations in terms of returns. We spoke about managing costs earlier. How do we manage that scenario where, okay, you as an institution, you need my skills, although I'm fresh out of university and my experience is limited, and I need to be paid at a particular level? How do we manage that scenario?
Well, internships is one way of getting started, especially internships while they're still in school. A lot of students have difficulty with lunch, transportation stipend. At that level, you have some amount of expertise, but there's hunger to learn, and they're willing to take value in the form of practical experience.
What about those who, in my words, know their pedigree and insist on a particular level? Because, I mean, increasingly we're seeing that in organizations where the expectation is at a particular level, but the organization has a duty to manage its costs and manage their expectation.
Well, that's a risk to the organization. Well, what will happen now, we have a global market. So those people are now migrating. They're going to Canada, they're going to the US, UK, wherever. All right? The organization now needs to see how we can leverage AI tools, systems, institutional knowledge, SOPs to contain those costs. Right?
And if I may just jump in on that.
Sorry, first I want to big up UCC. I mentioned the local universities, and I said UTech, UA, and UCC, sorry.
No problem, no problem. So when we're talking about, this whole matter of those entering the workforce, we have you all see those memes going around with the Gen Zs. Once you say something to them, they just say, I quit. They're ready to leave. And so we are at that time where we are seeing, the greatest amount of generations in the workforce at any given time, which requires a different kind of leadership approach. So leadership, we have to be now very intentional and specific about how we go about doing that. Again, blending the human capital with the technology and the processes to get the outcome we want. And the internship is a fabulous tool, and we have some of our interns here as well, and some collaborations that we have done with the various universities to ensure that before they enter the workforce, they have that knowledge of productivity, what it is, and how they can be more productive. And we have maintained that for decades. And so we are very proud of that. On the matter of government, as a government institution, I have to speak on that as well. The point that I wanted to just add to what was already made on as it relates to awareness, the training, there is also the collaboration among the different institutions, because everybody is doing something, Indeed. Right? But if we can collaborate, we can have a greater impact, because what we are aiming for is that the technology investments lead to national growth and productivity growth. And that's where now the entire Jamaica has that higher standard of living and everybody benefits. And that's where we want to get to. So that collaboration is going to be key going forward.
I'm very happy you touched on developing human capital and embracing the technology, because that was going to be my next question. What strategies do you think MSMEs can use to balance those two? Again, we often speak about them as if they are divorced from each other. It's the technology or the people, when really and truly it must be the technology and the people. Just quickly before I send people off to being refreshed.
One key thing is to involve the people in the process, right? Oftentimes when we go out, we see persons They come to work the next day, they see a new technology and expect that everybody gets it, right? And what we see a lot of too when we go into organizations, a lot of dormant things just there sitting, or a lot of systems not fully utilized. A number of us here, for example, use Outlook, but don't use Copilot to the maximum, right? So, you know, we have to look at what we have already, how we can maximize what we have, to look at having the people utilize what we have already, to share the knowledge among the persons and continue to upskill. Another point that we often see when we go into organizations, the previous panel mentioned a part of it where, you know, persons always say, okay, I want a new tool, what tool should I use, and not go to the problem. But beyond that, we need to look at the problem itself. Do we replicate exactly what exists? Because we can make our problem very efficient, right? So you have to look at, you know, getting it better first, and then automating that. That's where we see the productivity and the efficiency growth.
Thank you very much for that. My final question, I promise you, final question. And this is going to be to all the panelists. We've been talking about being future ready, future proofing, ensuring that we are prepared for what is to come. What does a digitally ready MSME workforce look like? I'll start with you, Deidre.
Digitally ready workforce. I'm going to end how I started in terms of being empowered and being confident in terms of using or utilizing a tool to drive business value and objectives. One of the things that will come from that too is where they're very agile and adaptable, because we're in such a fast-paced environment, especially when it comes to technology. So they would, you know, have to know how to quickly just adjust, and also be supported by an infrastructure that is also very modular to help them to grow and to scale, and to have that understanding in terms of driving the adoption with that kind of resilient infrastructure. It's also important to be digitally ready to be able to make data-driven decisions, because I spoke earlier about just business intelligence and also artificial intelligence, but I always say it's really about how do you now have an intelligent enterprise where your team members, your employees are digitally savvy and knowledgeable in order to help your business grow. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the tools, it's really about how you really drive and achieve your business value and objectives, right? And the ROI, which you mentioned. So how do you make those data-driven decisions around that? And also to be very conscious that yes, the technology will enable us, but it also can prevent us from achieving our objective if we don't manage the risk around cybersecurity, data privacy, you know. So it's also being aware of some of those things that are available, the threat environment, so that we can manage the control environment while we exploit the opportunities out there.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Well, I think I echo what I think Deidre just said. So as an AI company right now, our AI first company was one with strong strategic management, right? Standards oriented, a lot of SOPs, right? The clear defined SLAs, KPIs, OKRs. You should be able to essentially define what it is the person or employee or the agent or systems is doing, right? You need to be able to observe, measure, monetize, maximize return on investment, right? And additionally, what she said, a strong technical team, right? The technology is moving so quickly. Last year, we were just talking about chatbots and looking into Copilot and so forth. Now we have full ERPs and CRMs that come built in with multiple agents and orchestration and so forth. So the entire workflows are available. The workflow from McKinsey is available to any SME, you know, globally. So you have to be very aware of how your business works and your SOPs and what standards you're adopting and so forth. And as I also said, you have fast teams. You build a team, you design a product, build a team around it, execute it. You know, when it starts, it's no longer relevant. You kill that team, start over again, right?
Thank you, Tamar.
And it will be the same thing that I've been saying throughout the whole discussion, but a digitally ready company or workforce is not defined by technology alone, but by the people who can use the technology confidently to solve problems. So it's not just the knowledge, but the confidence to solve real problems within the organization that's holding you back from increasing your productivity. And managers have data available to make decisions, that they are not making it on gut feeling, but on facts. So they're making accurate decisions for the business, and a culture that prizes adaptability, continuous improvement, and lifelong learning, because this whole matter of digital transformation is not a one-time thing. It's a continuous thing, and it's more of a mindset that has to be adopted.
Thank you, Stacey.
Okay, so since I'm going to be the last person to speak on this, I want to help you guys out. So there's a lot that's been said today and just now, and I want to help you with remembering everything that has been said in 3 simple letters. You guys ready to play along? Yes? Okay, we hear one person. All on ready for refreshment, see? Yes, okay. All right. hungry, okay. All right, so you can remember one letter and it will help you remember everything. So the first letter that you're gonna say is V, so say V. All right, so V, and I want you to imagine with me that you're looking at this V. At the top of the V, you have vision, say vision. Vision. Bottom of the V, you have people, say people. And at the top of the other side, you say value. Okay, vision, people, value is the framework that every single transformation can be built around. And it don't have anything to do with the technology, even though we're talking about technology. Because at the end of the day, if you can think about the vision, like what is the vision that this tech, these digital rails, all of the speaking that you've heard today, what is the vision that I am trying to actualize and I'm going to leverage this technology for? Who are the people, real or artificial, that are going to help me to articulate that vision? Because you can use AI now to help you with articulate, because sometimes you can't get it down on paper, right? So who are the people that are going to help me to articulate that vision and to achieve that vision? So that's your people. And then value. What is the value I am going to get as the MSME owner, and the value that I'm going to be delivering to the people whose problems I'm solving? So if you remember those 3 little letters, that you really just think about the V, vision, people, value. Repeat it with me. Vision, people, value. Then ultimately you are on the right track to being a digitally forward MSME.
Give her a round of applause. Stacey Hines, CEO of Epic Transformation and Caribbean Tech Leader. To my immediate left, we have Deidre Cousins, Chief Information Officer for Grace Kennedy Limited. To her left is Michael Gordon, the Chief Innovation Officer for UCC. And of course, we close out the panel with the Chief Technical Director of the Jamaica Productivity Center, Tamar Nelson. Ladies and gentlemen, I did say it was an August panel. Put your hands together for them. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and I will not detain you any longer.
Okay, well, they pose and smile under their photos. We have one more presentation. But before I do that presentation, I see the chair of the PSOJ membership committee in the back giving me a stare. Please mention the PSOJ masterclass that's coming up. It will be on the 17th. And please, since that the majority of the people in here are PSOJ members, that means you all got the email. So please register for the PSOJ masterclass. The main topic is on leadership, but it's on leadership in this age, in this new changing age, right? Which is all directly and connected and talk to this. Oh yes, oh, we need to put this back up here. Sorry, yes, sorry. Hold on, let me take off my water. Thank you very much. So next up, we have the Senior Private Sector Development Consultant at IDB Lab to deliver a presentation on Carib Equity Assessment Report and recommendations. So we want to get a feel and understanding of what's going on in the rest of the Caribbean. Lysandra Rickards will now tell us some of what's going on. So Lysandra, please join us.
I have bad news for you. The food is coming out at 12, not 11:30. So I hope you drank some water. Intermittent fasting. Who's intermittent fasting in this room? I'm trying to lose the baby weight. I have a nice 6-month-old. He's lovely. So, all right. So I am here to share with you a report that IDB Lab did about the region and the innovation capabilities in the region. So IDB Lab is the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Division of IDB Group, right? So IDB has the sovereign side that deals with government. It has the big corporate side that deals with the big corporates in Jamaica. That's IDB Invest. And I work with IDB Lab, which is Startups, Entrepreneurship, Innovation. So Carib Equity is a facility of IDB Lab that deals with regional innovation. And we have a bunch of great partners on this project. It's co-funded by the European Union through their Global Gateway Initiative. It's also co-funded by the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States and managed through IDB Lab. All right, so this project aimed at strengthening Caribbean entrepreneurship, but specifically innovation. So yell some answers to me here. What do you guys, one word that describes innovation coming from the Caribbean? Let me hear some words. Andrew? One word. Vibrant. Vibrant. Okay. What else? Creative. Yes. Culturally relevant. Yes. Evolving. Was that Nadine? No. Yes. Okay, so a lot of these words have to do with the creativity that's coming out of our cultural and creative sectors, but do we do high innovation in Jamaica? Deep tech, deep technology-driven innovation that is science-based and research-driven? Yes. What company are you with? The one who said yes, yes, in the back. Okay, and do you do innovation, research-driven innovation, science-based? Okay, fantastic. All right, so that's what we were looking for in this project. What is the level of science-based, research-driven innovation that's happening in the Caribbean? So one key point, the report was done by Startup Genome. This is a global innovation ecosystem development firm, and their local regional partner was McIntyre Consulting out of St. Lucia. And they were the ones that did this report on our behalf. So I want you guys to go to caribequity.org to download the report. One is the assessment of Jamaica compared to the other countries in the region. And the second report is recommendations and the way forward for each country. It's at the regional level and at the country level. And I want you to draw your own conclusions, because there's no way there's enough time for me to talk about all the things that the report says about the region and innovation. I'm just going to pique your interest. That's my goal today, just to get you interested to want to download and read this report cover to cover. And I'm going to focus on what it says for Jamaica specifically in the context of the region. So let's go through this quick and fast, because everybody look hungry. All right, so really important that the only people that were counted in this survey were highly innovative startups, right, that are defined here. SMEs were not counted. Traditional industries were not counted. This was highly, highly innovative entrepreneurs that were often tech-driven or at least tech-enabled, that address new market gaps by adopting new business models or employing innovative processes. So that's really important. So you might see some results that you don't agree with, but remember who was counted in this report, right? So, snapshot of the Jamaican ecosystem. They were able to find and validate 38 highly innovative startups in this report, compared to a regional average of 8. Okay, so Jamaica had 38, the rest of the region, 8 on average. Yes, that's fantastic. Jamaica also has a really high percentage of traditional MSMEs per 1,000 people in the population, 61 compared to 31 in the rest of the region. Jamaica had 4 universities that were validated through this survey, 6 government agencies around innovation, but no corporate programs around innovation were validated through this survey. So if your corporate entity has an innovation program that's accessible by highly innovative startups, it needs to be counted. It wasn't counted here. We have 3 accelerators, 9 incubators, 2 innovation programs, and 1 innovation network that was validated. And look at what it is in the rest of the region, right? So Jamaica is actually the most active and advanced ecosystem in the region, according to this report. Did you know that? Just cutting the data another way, Jamaica is circled in red, 38 validated tech innovative startups, lots of entrepreneur support organizations. Second was Trinidad, third was DR, and fourth was Barbados. And those are the top 4 in the region, Jamaica leading by far, right? Fantastic. But all the Caribbean ecosystems are still in the earliest stage of maturity in terms of our innovation capacity. All of us are in stage 1. So this is the Startup Genome Innovation Ecosystem Life Cycle. That's what you're seeing on the screen here. Stage 1 is activation. Stage 2, globalization. 3, attraction. And 4, integration. How do you know what stage you're at? The number of tech startups in the country, the quality of those tech startups as measured by ability to scale beyond borders, so revenue and growth. They also look at the culture of entrepreneurship and innovation and the supporting organizations around it. That's how you know where the ecosystem is. So all of the Caribbean is still in stage 1. So because of that, they had to create subcategories in stage 1 because of the Caribbean. They never had this before, the Caribbean survey, but because of us, now they had to go deeper into what activation actually looks like. And this is what they developed. So Jamaica is almost at the top stage within this stage 1, right? But we're still just at developing, and that's because we're not producing enough volume of highly innovative startups. This is important. How can we as a nation produce more science-driven entrepreneurship and not just traditional MSMEs? That's a question we need to answer as a nation, right? And the other countries in the region are in nascent and awareness. So we are at the furthest along the path in the activation stage, okay? All right, so what's Jamaica specific in this report? And I'm just trying to pique your interest. Number 1, as I said, we need to increase science-based, research-driven, innovation-based entrepreneurship as a nation. That's number 1. We're looking at, we have a low number of patents that we apply for. So that's the data here, just showing you how many patents we apply for, how much technology and research is exported by Jamaica. We're not exporting enough knowledge, science-based knowledge. We need to improve that as a country to get further up the curve. We also need to increase startup activity in key economic sectors. So what this slide is showing is the number of startups in each part of the economy versus how much that economic segment contributes to GDP. So tourism, one of our top contributors to GDP, not enough startups in tourism, right? We have a lot of startups producing software, and I've met some in the room here, but not enough actually disrupting how we deliver our tourism product. Similar for agriculture, similar for manufacturing. We have a few in financial services, but we need more startup activity in these economic sectors that drive GDP growth for Jamaica. What are your thoughts on that? Interesting, right? So we don't just need more tech startups. We need startups in our key economic sectors. We also need growth talent. What's growth talent? Customer acquisition, digital marketing hacking, right? Growing revenues significantly. The number one barrier to talent that came out of this report was finding experienced business development, customer acquisition, and online growth hacking talent. That is what is blocking our startups from scaling. We cannot attract enough revenue. The first question I ask any startup that I meet is, how many customers do you have? Right? And a lot of them say, oh, we don't have any customers yet, but we have a great product. So we have technical expertise, but not growth expertise, and we really need to solve this in order to grow. Thoughts? You agree? Disagree? Agreed. Yeah, this is a big one. Another finding, we have a lot of activity in the ecosystem. We have DBJ, we have RevUp, we have all these accelerators, incubators, government programs, JBDC, HEART, and they all are not talking to each other enough. So they're up UCC, right? So we're operating in silos. So what we find is that entrepreneurs are jumping from one program to another, but they're not going along a pathway that says, okay, if you're in ideation, you go here. If you are in MVP, minimum viable product, you go here. If you have customers and want to scale up, you go here. No, we're just replicating the same training, similar training, not always the same, over and over again without moving along a curve. And we need to solve that, which means the ecosystem needs to come together and have more conversations, have referral pathways. You refer, you go here first, then here, talk to each other and act as a whole to move the nation forward. Barbados is doing a better job of this than we are in Jamaica. Haiti has one platform where you can go and see all the innovation startups in Haiti. Did you know that? I just found that out. Haiti, with all of its fragility, right, and disturbances, are doing more on ecosystem cohesion than we are in Jamaica without the issues that they are having. We need to do better on this. But we have a great foundation and a great starting point. Momentum is strong. As we saw, we have the region's most institutionally rich, say that fast, innovation ecosystem. We have a dense network that's not talking to each other. We have national initiatives, and we have the strongest validated pipeline of real tech entrepreneurs. We just need to go one step further. So, have I piqued your interest in this report? Are you going to download it and read it cover to cover and generate your own conclusions? These were my conclusions that were distilled from the report. So just a summary, we need to increase science-based, research-driven entrepreneurship. So one thing that we're doing at IDB Lab, every project that we do, we need to put out some knowledge around the project that moves it forward. We have a lot of knowledge in this country that we are not standardizing, putting into scientific research, and influencing the rest of the region. The Junior Stock Exchange, for example, should be influencing every other stock exchange, not just in the Caribbean, but in Latin America, but we are not publishing enough knowledge products around that. So let's get more knowledge products out there. Let's use more science-based research in our own businesses to move the needle forward. Let's get more innovative. Let's move from adopting innovation from elsewhere and adapting it to experience to now creating original innovations here and exporting it globally. We do this in culture and creative, as we've heard. We need to do it in other segments of our society. Let's train and attract experienced customer acquisition talent. Let's focus on salespeople. That's what that means. Focus on revenue growth. Let's improve the cohesion in the ecosystem. And when you find a survey coming from IDB Lab, please respond so that we can improve the data collection and do a great V2 of this report. Thank you very much. Quick and fast, right? Quick and fast. No appendix today.
Wow, excellent. A lot of fantastic information. And can you imagine, we almost tried to, yeah, but look, it's excellent information. I'm definitely going to read that document, read that report. So folks, we are at the end, and I think the timing is perfect because I look at the back and I see stuff, lots of new stuff. So hold on, we're not going anywhere yet, right? Andrew, don't run out yet. I see you sneaking away. Call them out. All right, see you sneak. You know what's interesting, with one of the presentations that were done a while ago, Trevor and I, we wrote this book in 2021 before ChatGPT came out. So of course, ChatGPT came out, and we're now saying, Trevor, we have to write over the book again, you know. So yeah, we haven't sat with it. But one of the things that we have, chapter 2, we talk about myths and mistakes to avoid a digital transformation. And the number one mistake that people make was just discussed by this last panel, not including the people in the decisions around the technology, right? Exactly what Tamara said a while ago. You turn up to work and all of a sudden there's something new, right? It's massively important that the people are included every step of the way, right? That's the biggest mistake, number one. The next biggest mistake is that the alignment between the business strategy and the digital strategy is off. There's 7 mistakes. I'm not going to go through all 7 of them. I'm going to stop at the third one. The third mistake, building new technology on old broken systems. A lot of us have experienced that. So I'm not going to get into that anymore. So fantastic information, lots of great data today. I'm going to just bring up the final poll. We're supposed to actually have 4 of them, but we're trying to get back on track with the timing. So I'm going to bring up the final poll. The question is, what did you gain from today's forum on digital transformation? So please scan and just write in what you get, 1 word, 2 words, but anything you got there. And while you're doing that, I'm going to invite the executive director of the PSOJ, Mrs. Sasha Vassiano Riley, to come and deliver the vote of thanks. Then we will go to the results when she's finished. Thank you very much. Sasha, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. And of course, in the interest of time, everybody hungry, I just want to share our special thanks and gratitude. And so, of course, I know that you guys have all enjoyed this morning's presentation. If you really, really enjoyed it and want me to thank our participants and our presenters, please give a round of applause. All right, excellent. Gratitude is a must, so we're just going to take these few minutes. So as we bring this forum to a close, it is certainly my pleasure to extend thanks to all who contributed to making today's event both meaningful and impactful. First, I wish to express our deep appreciation to our partners at the Inter-American Development Bank, particularly Ms. Marsoff. I know she has left, but I would ask that Lysandra please communicate our thanks to her. Their continued collaboration with us in making this Empower JA series very successful is most appreciated, and we look forward to continuing our work with them. I would also like to thank our president, who had to leave, the Honorable Patrick Hilton, for his leadership and for setting the tone for today's important conversation. I think although he did not read from his prepared text, what we got was even better. His call for us to be ambitious in our goals. So the fact that we're an SME doesn't mean anything. SMEs can become large conglomerates. Each of us, even as individuals, the goals we need to set for ourselves. And this journey, although, you know, we hear all the mistakes that people make and all the things that could go wrong, it is certainly an ambitious journey for most of us, but we have to set ourselves big, ambitious targets. So we thank you for laying that down for us, President. Of course, our sincere gratitude goes to our keynote speaker, Mr. Marlon Cooper. I see Marlon has left. Oh, Marlon is at the back of the room. Big up, Marlon. Thank you so very much. We thank you for your kind words this morning. Our panel moderators, Trevor Forrest. I'm not sure if Trevor has left. Oh, Trevor is here as well. And, oh, he's left. Okay. And Jermaine Nairn, thank you so much for leading the panels this morning. Our presenters, of course, Lysandra Rickards. We ended with her in terms of her presentation. Lots and lots of data, but I would encourage you to find that report. The good thing about the IDB, they do all these reports, and they're on the website. They're all over the place. Take the time and read them. Very important information. And of course, our panelists. We had Nanine Matthews-Blair. Trevor called her, the queen of AI or queen of digital. We had Joel Dean. We had Dr. David Lowe, Andrew Walker, Nyatha Tate, Deidre Cousins, Michael Gordon, Stacey Hines, and last but not least, Ms. Tamara Nelson. We thank you so very much for your participation and sharing the insights, sharing your experiences, sharing your advice. We think those things are valuable, and we hope that although some have left, you will stick and stay and, meet with some of our members, because I'm sure there is more that they can hear from you. So you all shared your valuable insights on how digital transformation and emerging technologies, including AI, can help Jamaican SMEs improve efficiency, productivity, and competitiveness, and we are grateful. To our forum moderator, he has moderated this morning, but he wears many, many hats for us, and we work him till he's tired. So he acted as moderator this morning, but as he mentioned earlier, he's our Innovation and Digital Transformation Chair. He was before our membership chair. As you see, he gave this great plug to all the PSOJ activities and networking and all of those things. We are grateful to you, Chris. He never refuses our ask, unless, of course, he's traveling, him live on a plane, all over China, all over the place, but he really does make time for us, and I think he really exemplifies what it means to be a PSOJ member. He's told you over 20 years, him not look so old, but him old. Over 20 years, he has been at it, and he still feels the passion, he still feels the commitment. And so if you have a little time afterwards, please have a little chat with him. We thank you. Thank you. So, I cannot do anything without my team. The reason we are here is because I have a good secretariat team. The light is kind of blinding, so I know some of them are over there. I see them. Put up your hands, teamies, my PSOJ team members. We are grateful that we are here today, all because of you and the hard work. A lot of what you see here unseen is actually supported by all the hard work they do behind the scenes. So I'm very grateful. I have a lovely team. I love them, and I'm thankful for their support and their hard work. So thanks very, very much. And of course, finally, thanks to all of you, entrepreneurs, business leaders, innovators, and stakeholders for taking this time to contribute to this important dialogue. I think it was Tamara who mentioned the contribution of SMEs to our GDP, and that often goes unnoticed and unrecognized. And the fact is, the truth is too, that the time you have spent here now, spending these 4 hours with us, meant that something else did not get done. However, we appreciate it because we see this as an investment in your time, and we hope that as we progress with this journey and as you grow as a business, you will in fact see the ROI. So, the conversations we have had today remind us that empowering SMEs through technology and innovation is not just an opportunity, it is indeed a necessity to Jamaica's continued economic growth. And so on behalf of the PSOJ, I thank you for joining us, and I would now just ask you to enjoy your meal, enjoy the networking opportunity, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for coming.
A while ago, and I'm going to just share. So a few folks asked me, what is this thing blinking on my neck? It's blinking everywhere I walk. Right? Some noticed, some didn't notice. So did Andrew walk out? Andrew Pearman, PSOJ member, called me from, he was in Vegas, and he said, Chris, go to this website, put in this code, order this product now. So this has become my personal assistant. So this is my personal AI digital device that walks with me everywhere. And it records it records any conversation I'm having. It recorded the entire thing today, and it's synchronized with my device. That I will now have a conversation with the event, not just each individual, but with the event. So Andrew Pearman, thank you very much, who also is is always assisting us with all the technology. And yes, I hear more things. Yes, come. The membership committee chair, just to let everybody know, it happens to be my sister, Nadine, right? So, Nadine, come and say what you need to say.
Hi, everybody. I just want to remind everybody that we're having our usual monthly masterclass. The next event is next Tuesday at the S Hotel, 3:30 to 4 o'clock. Get in some get in some networking, that's the reason you're all here, and then listen to the most amazing class that we're going to have, which is entitled Leading for a Big Future, Leadership that Inspires People and Drives Expansion. Francis Wade and Dale Wade will be speaking, and I feel like it's going to be transformational. So do not miss it. If you have not been to one before, you're going to wonder why all roads, every time we have it, leads to that masterclass, okay? So join us. And of course, you know that we know it's free for PSOJ members, a small token for non-members. And the idea is that when you come, you're going to get hooked, and then you join and become a member. All right? Bye. Have a lovely rest of the day.
Excellent, folks. Another PSOJ event started on time and finished dead on time. The time is now 12 o'clock.